Good morning to all speakers, panelists, moderators, and guests. Welcome to the Manila Times Women's Circle Forum, titled Inspiring Inclusivity, Our Collective Responsibility. My name is Janina Lorelei, and it is my honor and pleasure to be your host for today's forum. Some of you might know me as a classical crossover mezzo-soprano, but I am also a certified public speaking fellow, empowerment mentor, and recently crowned Noble Queen Earth 2023. Thank you. Later during the fireside chat, we, with select and esteemed members of the diplomatic corps, we will be having the charming and effervescent Tessa Mauricio-Arriola, the Manila Times Lifestyle and Entertainment editor. Also moderating later, during the business session question and answer segments with our speakers, we will be having the eloquent and accomplished Kim Bernardo-Lokin, Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, Undersecretary for Communications and Legislative Affairs. Speaking of communications, women from all over the world have been pushing for an earth that is free from prejudice, labeling, and bigotry, not just for women, but for all those included in the ever-evolving spectrum of gender identities. Exclusion is not just a they problem, it is also not merely a we problem, and it is not solely an I problem. It is a concern for everybody. Conscious, collective, and collaborative. These are what it takes, and these are what it means to be truly free to build a gender-equal world. That is why inspiring equality and inclusivity is everyone's responsibility. We look forward to hearing how our 6 executive speakers, 2 business session guests, and 5 ambassador panelists will discuss these and more. But before we proceed to our first speaker, please allow me to introduce one distinguished gentleman who will give the opening remarks. Aside from being the chairman and chief executive officer of the Manila Times, he is also the chairman of the National Book Development Board, through which he hopes to nurture better informed Filipinos. He interviews government officials, diplomats, and industry leaders on the Manila Times Roundtable, through which he hopes to encourage more critical thinking among Filipinos. Esteemed guests and attendees, let's give a round of applause for Dante Kling Ang II. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, my colleagues at the Manila Times, first of all, welcome to today's Women's Forum, Inspiring Inclusivity, Our Creative Responsibility. Allow me to greet some of our keynote speakers from whom we'll be hearing from today. Cosette Canilao, President and CEO of Aboitiz InfraCapital. Karen Roa, President of First Metro Asset Management Incorporated. Maria Aurora Boots Geotina-Garcia, the founding chairperson and president of the Philippine Women's Economic Network. Elizabeth Ventura, President of Anchorland Holdings, Inc. I think she'll be coming here later. My classmate at De La Salle MBA, Rosemary Bosch-Ong of Wilcon Depot Inc., Nikki Tang, the CEO of DMark Beauty and DermAsia Corp., Judith Tubil, the Director for People and Culture of foodpanda Philippines, Abigail Tina del Rosario, the President and CEO of Maybank Philippines, whom I saw earlier. And of course, our moderator, my good friend and longtime partner in crime, you say Kim Bernardo-Lokin, of course, who, as you know, is also one of our contributors at the Manila Times. You know, a lot of people have been giving me grief about why I'm here, and I was saying, why not? Who would pass up the opportunity to be in a room full of successful, if not beautiful women? I would rather be here than elsewhere else, right? So this is, I think, probably the only Manila Times event where I'll be here the whole day. So, but kidding aside, this is, I think, an important topic that needs to be discussed more. I think, as the UN had said, that if we are able to close the gender gap around the world, that the global economy would see a bump of $7 trillion. So, substantial number, certainly, that we should all mind. The UN also said that closing the gender gap would be good for business. And I'm glad to say that this is something that we have known all along at the Manila Times. In fact, our president is a woman. Many of our senior executives, our managing editors are women. I just realized all our department heads at the Manila Times are women. So, it's probably because, we really looked at, a person's capability rather than their gender. And as I said, I think Toots was saying, why don't we have Women's Month every month or every day, and I hope that today's forum will remind people of that, that the importance of pushing Republic Act 6949, which designated March 8th at National Women's Day. Certainly, I want to be brief because I want to give way to our wonderful speakers this morning. But before we start, I'd just like to thank all of those who made this event possible today. Our, of course, venue partner, Okada Manila, thank you very much. Our co-presenters, DermAsia and DMark Beauty, McDonald's, our special partners, B Hotel Alabang, Bobby Brown, BioEssence, Diana Stalder, Ever Bilena, foodpanda, Fujifilm, JNT Express, Jesse and Company, Ludi's, Maybank, Monique Cakes, Orly, Penny Pears, SM Supermalls, SunSmart, YAM Agency, A-List and Partners at the Phil iColors, Landers and Solane, of course, our media partners, Rising Tiger Magazine, TNC, the Manila Times TV, and of course our many, many chamber partners, all of whom will probably be recognized later. I really appreciate all of you coming here. I want to thank everyone attending this program. I know there are many competing events, but I think given our lineup today, I'm sure, as we will see later on, you made the right choice to be here. Thank you very much and have a productive morning. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening remarks, Sir Kling. Next, please allow me to introduce the distinguished lady who will give the welcoming remarks. An advocate of women empowerment and inclusivity, she is a multi-awarded woman of substance and an active member of the Filipina CEO Circle, an all-female network of successful women that have risen through the ranks to reach the top positions in their companies, all bound by the desire to help other young women succeed. She is the Manila Times President and Chief Operating Officer. Esteemed guests and attendees, please give a warm welcome for Blanca Calilung Mercado. Blanca, the stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the nice intro, Janina. Just like our chairman has said, it's hard to be in the presence of all powerful women here. And thank you for being brave today, Kling, for being the lair of, so to speak, the lair of the lion's den. Okay. Anyway, thank you again, of course, for all the women for braving the traffic, for being here today. It's so, how to say it, very, very intimidating to be in a same room with all these powerful women. But nevertheless, we're happy for you being here today. So let me start my short speech by saying that, by greeting all of you, Her Excellencies, who are supposed to be here later on, distinguished speakers, mostly my FCC sisters, thank you for being here today. Our partners, guests, and colleagues, again, good morning. So this Women's Month, we celebrate ourselves. We toast our triumphs, our strength, our grace, and the impacts we have made. But despite these notable gains, women's empowerment is a concept that is still seeking universal acceptance. 1 out of 10 women still live in extreme poverty. A lot of women still less likely to have access to social protection, and the list is very, very long. Gender equality is slow in coming because many governments still do not consider gender equality as part of their sustainable development goals. It is as serious a concern as climate change and poverty eradication. Women have a critical role to play in realizing the sustainable development goals to end poverty, protect the planet, and promote peace. Many targets specifically recognize women's equality and empowerment as both as an objective and part of the solution to a more sustainable, inclusive world. When more women are empowered to lead, everyone benefits. Do you all agree? Decades of studies show women leaders help increase productivity, enhance collaboration, inspire organizational dedication, and improve fairness. For all men here, please, this is our month, so please agree with us. Despite these benefits, only 10% of Fortune 500 companies are led by women. How has women's role in society changed? Fewer women are staying at home, fewer children are born to families, and more women are now in college. According to International Labour Organization, the ILO, 47% of the global workforce now is women. There are now changes in law enforcement of existing laws involving such issues as reproductive rights, sexual harassment, and domestic violence. The role of women in leadership positions is not only a matter of equality. By empowering women leaders, we can build more inclusive, resilient, and successful organizations and societies. By breaking the glass ceiling, well, they say they don't have glass ceiling now. Women are transforming the traditional notions of leadership, bringing fresh perspectives, empathy, and collaboration to the table. As women leaders here, we can contribute positively. We should get better at supporting each other. The changes we can make are meaningful and surely can change the world. It's our collective responsibility to inspire, influence, and empower all other women out there. So happy Women's Month to all women here, and cheers to empowerment, inclusivity, boundless opportunities, and infinite possibilities for all of us. Thank you very much, and maraming pong salamat sa lahat for being here today, and good morning to everyone.
Thank you for your welcoming remarks, Ms. Blanca. And next, please allow me to introduce the representative of Okada, Manila, who will officially welcome everyone to our wonderful venue for today. She is a seasoned manager in casino marketing operations with focus on premium marketing services, operation resource optimization, and opening new properties. She is the Vice President for Business Solutions and Premium Marketing Operations of Okada, Manila. Esteemed guests and attendees, please give a round of applause for Manila Song Misei Lao.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today at the Manila Times Women's Forum 2024 representing Okada, Manila. As we gather here to discuss and celebrate the theme, Inspiring Inclusivity, Our Collective Responsibility, I'm filled with immense pride and hope for the future. Okada Manila is honored to sponsor this pivotal event, bringing together successful women from across the metro, leaders who have shattered glass ceiling and paved the way for the next generations. This forum, enriched by the insight of women who are pioneers in their fields and the esteemed women ambassadors serving as panelists, stands as a beacon of progress and empowerment. Inclusivity is the cornerstone of our corporate philosophy at the Okada Manila. With a workforce of over 5,000 diverse individuals, we are a testament to the strength found in embracing differences. We believe that our collective success is rooted in our ability to welcome and celebrate people from all walks of life. Regardless of gender, it is the belief that it has inspired us to foster an environment where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, to be heard, and to contribute to our shared goals. As we move forward, Okada Manila pledges to remain champion of inclusivity, encouraging other organizations to join in these vital missions. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that workplace and society at large are spaces where everyone, regardless of gender, can achieve their full potential. In closing, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Manila Times for organizing this forum and for providing us with the opportunity to share our journey towards industry. Let us all commit to being agents of change, inspiring inclusivity in every aspect of our lives. Together, we can build a more equitable, diverse and vibrant world of generations to come. Thank you.
Manida, thank you for officially welcoming all of us to Okada Manila. We shall now proceed to our first speaker. She has over 20 years of leadership experience in public-private partnerships, investment and corporate banking, and crisis management and restructuring practice. She has held management positions at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Standard Merchant Bank, and Atkins Acuity. She sets the overall direction for Aboitiz Group's infrastructure arm and its business units. She spearheads business growth and strategy by building partnerships as well as the development of projects. She is the Aboitiz InfraCapital Incorporated President and CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Cosette Canilao. The stage is yours, Cosette.
Hello, and good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and most notably, Clink. Thank you for having me here. Blanca, thank you for inviting us. So, happy Women's Day Month to all the amazing ladies in the room, and also to our men allies, to the honorary women in the room. I am honored to stand before you today and be in the company of fellow women leaders and men allies to talk about the relevant and timely theme of inclusivity. This topic resonates deeply with me as inclusivity is a principle to uphold and a powerful force for change and progress in our society. Throughout my talk, I will share some insights on the significance of inclusivity in empowering women and propelling our society towards collective progress. I am also eager to share my journey as a woman leader, navigating the complexities of this fast-paced and modern corporate world. My journey to leadership within Aboitiz InfraCapital and throughout my career has been marked by diverse experiences in different fields, from my beginnings in commercial banking to my ventures into advisory investment banking, and my government role as the former head of the PPP Center. These varied experiences served as building blocks, preparing me to assume my current leadership responsibilities in Aboitiz InfraCapital, which has a diverse infrastructure portfolio. Reflecting on this journey, I am frequently approached with inquiries about my challenges as a woman holding a key leadership position. I've been fortunate to have had the guidance of solid female mentors early in my career, and I have left strong impressions that are now part of who I am today. Their influence gave me invaluable insights and support, which undoubtedly helped shape my path. I also have had great male allies and sponsors who gave me keen insights into my capabilities. I will name some of those mentors, starting with Patricia Macy, the current CEO of PBCom, who is also a Filipina CEO Circle sister. She was my first boss, and she hired me right out of school. I almost didn't join because I had to relocate to Manila, but she arranged for me to be hired out of the headquarters. She paved the way and gave me challenging assignments despite being a rookie. My lady bosses at Planters Bank, Ida Gadin and Beth Umali, I don't know if some of you know them, they showed me how to succeed while juggling other responsibilities as a homemaker and a mother. I truly admire them for being strong corporate women, hardworking, courageous, and so put together, similar to my FCC lady sisters now. And there's also Det Ratcliffe of East West Bank now, who opened my mind to pursuing higher education when I got listless at work, even though I already had a young child then. Of course, there's also the late Joe Lavares, who sponsored my admission to PwC Manila, and the late Secretary Cayetano Paderanga, who convinced me to join the government and opened my eyes and my mind to the world of infrastructure. To them and to those who I have not mentioned, and I hope they know who they are, I am sincerely grateful. However, not all women have the same privileges or opportunities to be taken under the wings of great women leaders and men allies. Thus, it is essential that we actively work to dismantle the systemic barriers that hinder women's advancements in the corporate world. One way to do this is to champion exemplary leadership and programs that empower women in the workplace. For my part, my leadership style is based on a steadfast commitment to openness and accountability, which I learned early in my career. I firmly believe in nurturing an environment where debate is not only encouraged but embraced as a means of driving innovation and progress. In our efforts to promote women empowerment and gender equality within Aboitiz InfraCapital, we have worked tirelessly to foster a culture of inclusivity. This involves creating spaces where all voices are heard and truly valued. It entails providing mentorship, professional development, and advancement opportunities, regardless of gender identity or background. In AIC, we expanded the health coverage of team members to include LGBT partners, children of single parents, and extended dependents as we recognize the importance of inclusive healthcare. I'm also happy to share that Aboitiz InfraCapital is a proud member of the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, which Tut says. Here we attend sessions and engage in fruitful dialogues with our industry peers on essential topics like workplace gender equity and creating safe and respectful spaces for women. Last year, we also partnered with Connected Women under its Elevate IDA program, which Agnes heads. We provided free online training on artificial intelligence and data innovation to women from disadvantaged and vulnerable sectors of society. The program initially focused on college undergraduates, unemployed graduates, and unemployed mothers from Davao as part of our pilot batch, with plans of expanding to communities from identified areas in Luzon and Visayas where we operate. Knowledge is the greatest empowerment tool, so we welcome this opportunity to support online skills development and provide remote work opportunities for these women. It was truly touching and fulfilling to see our first batch from Davao graduate last November, and we are excited about what the future holds for them. These are some of the initiatives we try to improve on year after year in Aboitiz InfraCapital. As a Filipina business leader, I have also faced challenges that reflect the struggles many women encounter in the corporate world. One such challenge is the pervasive issue of not being taken seriously, a phenomenon that is all too familiar to women. On countless occasions, many women leaders have encountered instances where ideas were dismissed or trivialized simply because of gender. Despite having the qualifications, expertise, and experience to contribute meaningfully to discussions, there have been times when women's opinions were disregarded or undermined. This subtle yet underhanded form of discrimination, often masked by polite dismissals or condescending remarks, serve to perpetuate gender inequalities. I am no stranger to this kind of treatment. Over the years, though, as I've gained a better appreciation and understanding of my capabilities through guidance and affirmations of mentors and allies, I've learned not to take these actions personally and instead develop the courage to call out such behaviors in various ways. I am continually inspired, though, by the resilience and determination exhibited by fellow women leaders and men allies who courageously speak up and call out such behaviors in and out of the boardroom. Together, we must continue to pave the way for future generations of women to have a voice and an impactful seat at the table. Employers must actively promote diversity initiatives and implement policies that ensure all employees are treated respectfully and given equal opportunities to contribute. Training programs on unconscious bias and gender sensitivity can help raise awareness and educate employees on recognizing and addressing discriminatory behaviors. Additionally, mentorship and sponsorship programs can support and guide women seeking to advance their careers, helping them navigate the challenges they may face. By collectively working towards creating a more equitable and inclusive corporate environment, we can break down barriers and pave the way for women to realize their potential in the business world. Before I wrap up, I want to acknowledge and celebrate fellow women leaders here today, those who have paved the way for us, and those who are continuing to do so. I am grateful for the inspiration, the energy, and the good vibes I draw from you. In closing, let us remember that inclusivity is not merely a buzzword, but something to be regarded as our shared responsibility. We must work to create supportive environments where everyone is given a fair chance to succeed and reach their full potential. Together, we have the power to build a more inclusive society, one where diversity is celebrated and everyone's contributions are truly valued. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Cosette, thank you for that inspiring speech. Later on, we will be inviting you back on stage for the business session question and answer segment of our forum. And for now, we have our second talk of the day. Our second speaker has over 25 years of experience in the financial services sector, both domestic and international. In the past, she was the president and CEO of FILAM Asset Management Incorporated. She has also worked as a top executive at SunGard Solutions, FILAM Savings Bank, and Citibank's Global Asset Management. She is currently the president of First Metro Asset Management Incorporated, or FAMI, a subsidiary of Metro Bank Group. She is also the president of the Filipina CEO Circle, a female network of successful women who rose through the ranks to reach top positions in their respective companies. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Karen Lisa Roa.
To Mr. Ang, the Chairman and CEO of the Manila Times, Blanca Mercado, the President and CEO of the Manila Times, to our esteemed guests, distinguished speakers, cohorts, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. Hopefully, by sharing my insights and journey, I'd be able to empower, reinforce, and celebrate the power of women and our allies. I'd like to begin this International Women's Month celebration with a few fun facts. Okay. In 2018, the Commission on Higher Education has placed the number of female college enrollees at around 1.4 million as compared to 1.2 million male college enrollees. That's a difference of around 20% more female college students than their male counterparts. Female college students concentrated mostly in business administration and related courses, while its male counterpart had a high population in the field of information technology. In 2023, the Philippine population, about 2.5 million were female college enrollees, while 1.9 million are male college enrollees, or about 1 million more as compared to 5 years prior. This translates to about 14.5% of the total population being female college enrollees, while 10.5% are male. In other words, over the last 5 years, from 20% difference, the gap has now become 37% more female college enrollees than male college enrollees. Okay. This is on a national scale. Now, let's take a look at the corporate compositions. According to a research made by De La Salle University in 2014 by Unitis, Shi, and Sullivan, although this is quite old, I don't think the findings have differed or improved. In fact, probably have worsened over the pandemic. Of the total executives in Philippine publicly listed companies, only 28% are female. And of the total number of CEOs, only 8.8% are female. The number actually decreases or declines among female CEOs because about 3% of them are actually owners or major shareholders. So let me just summarize this. Of the total 300 plus publicly listed companies in the Philippines, only 8% are female-led. And of the total number of executives, less than a third, or 28%, are female. The relevance of these two studies when combined is the significant underrepresentation of women leaders in corporate business. It also reflects the large dropout rate of women between the time, okay, kind of got lost a little bit there. Between the time we graduate from college, when we were filled with aspiration, energy, and excitement, to the time that we actually fulfill our full potential. So what happened in between? What happened from the time that we graduated college up to the present time where we're trying to fulfill our full potential? Did life just take over? Did we have burnout? Did we deprioritize ourselves under the guise of maybe selflessness? Studies are showing, particularly the one of Deloitte of the Women at Work, shows that the gap in female leadership roles, apart from the fact that they are probably due to lack of skill or probably strategic mindset, is largely and more significantly or importantly due to the lack of will. Women have a tendency to avoid risk. There is a natural bias that even if women work full-time, we still bear the greatest responsibility for raising children. And we have also the duty to care for our dependents and are accountable for household tasks. Not to mention, often, we feel the pressure to prioritize our partner or spouse's career over our own. And many times these biases are as much social as they are self-inflicted. We all love to hear stories, so allow me to tell you my story. I was an athlete in my college days. I was a Lady Blue Eagle who played volleyball for Ateneo all for 4 years. Always hearing that, OBF. At that time, however, the team sucked. But I loved the game and I loved the team. Losing taught me resilience. When you put yourself out there, that teaches you courage. When you lose and you get hit by the ball in the face over and over again, that teaches humility. But despite the continuous losing, I chose to soldier on. Apart from the competitive spirit built as an athlete after college, I held on to the dream of wanting more, which is not any different from the 14.5% of female college students that I showed earlier. Resilience, courage, and humility were just some of the tools that I had in my pocket as I began my life journey. Fast forward to mid-adulthood. While working during the day and taking my MBA at night, I had my first child. I was then 25 and living in New York City. I had invested significantly in business school in terms of hours, money, effort, emotions, that I didn't want to throw it away just because I was having a child. I didn't think children needed to be dream showstoppers. So I gave birth to my daughter, and after a month, I brought her home to the Philippines to be cared for by my mother and husband, and quickly returned to the US, where I stayed for another 8 months to finish school. You can imagine by the time I came home, she was already walking. Nevertheless, I chose to soldier on. By the time I was 32, I already had 4 children, 4 daughters at that time, and a thriving career. I still tutored my children until 4th grade. I did the parent coordinator at school thing for the first 2 kids, and I did a whole slew of other parent and mother duties for all 4. I too am a victim or a victor, depending on how you want to see it, of the social biases of our culture, where the mother is ultimately responsible for child rearing and managing all other household affairs. But I never thought I had to give up one for the other. In the course of raising a family and having a career, I made sure that there were boundaries and schedules. My children could not ask me to get them school supplies past 5 p.m. because the janitor and the messengers were no longer around. You could keep me at late night on weekdays, but I did not work on weekends. That was my routine. These were just some of the disciplines and rigor I subjected myself to in order to keep a harmonious life. I'd like to think that the trade-offs I had to make were calculated and deliberate. Looking back, I was both hungry, yet honest, and with a can-do attitude. This means I needed to always be on. But more than anything, I kept alive my college girl aspirations of maximizing potential. The upward trajectory was definitely not a straight line, neither was it always a positive slope. There were numerous setbacks, financial, professional, emotional, marital even. But I chose not to forgo me for everybody else. In fact, I thought that doing what I was doing was more, in fact, for the family than it was for me. Instead, I looked for harmony, support, and allies. My children are in a good place and flourishing. They aren't estranged or rebellious or speak ill of their mother, at least not in front of me, or so I think. I'd like to think that I achieved a level of authenticity that resonated with others and allowed me to build a safe space and network. It is a network that is genuine, with shared values and experiences, hence allowing me to gain true partners and co-conspirators. The gap between the aspiration and self-actualization needs to be bridged, if not narrowed. But it can only be done if we choose to soldier on. So in response to the title, Inclusivity is Our Collective Responsibility, here are the few of my call to action, or things we can do to create that inclusive environment. Number one, leading from the top. This means educating and calling out non-inclusive behavior. Cosette mentioned that as well earlier on. Creating safe spaces where women have the confidence to speak up and know they will be heard. That there is no issue too small or trivial not to be given attention. Number two, take an enabling approach to harmonizing work and home life. Let's be more understanding and flexible of the challenges of domestic affairs and provide assistance and support. And lastly, create development and progression opportunities for women, especially for those that have talent but find it difficult to get out of their shell. We can do this by providing exposure and mentoring. Someone once said at various points in your career that you will be called to take a risk, and that you will find, as I have found, that those will be the times of your greatest opportunities. Thank you for listening, and have a pleasant good morning.
Thank you, Karen. We will be inviting you back on stage later on for the business session question and answer segment with DTI Undersecretary Kim Bernardo-Lokin. And now it's time for our third talk. Our third speaker has over 40 years of extensive experience as a consultant to business and government, advising clients on project development, packaging and structuring of projects, identification of potential funding sources, preparation of sale documents and related materials, and negotiation of financing agreements with lenders. She is also the chairwoman of the Governing Council of the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment and the chairwoman of the Next Gen organization of women corporate directors, which champion gender equality as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. She is the PhilWEN founding chairwoman and president. Ladies and gents, please welcome Maria Aurora Boots Geotina-Garcia.
Thank you for the introduction. I just realized I was aged by the sharing of my experiences, but just to let you know, I started my career at 2 years old. So just figure out how old I am by now. But in any case, firstly, I'd like to thank Clink and Bianca for inviting me today. I think it's a very opportune time to be with all of you to celebrate a very important event, though as I was telling Klink earlier, this is something which should not be celebrated only in March. It should actually be celebrated throughout the year. So I will not be speaking about my own personal experiences today, but rather talk about the advocacies that I involved with, particularly PhilWEN and PBCWE, where we are advocates for inclusivity in fulfillment of our collective responsibilities as staunch advocates of gender equality, women's economic empowerment, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So while we speak of inclusivity today, we would be remiss if we do not discuss this in the context of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. So that said, allow me to say a few remarks about DEI. And let me pose these questions to you. Does being diverse necessarily mean being inclusive? Have you asked or wondered why these principles must be combined to be more powerful? What do these concepts mean for you and for the organization that you represent? Many organizations have made great efforts to promote DEI, and the discourse has shifted significantly from a focus on gender equality towards DEI more generally. The expanded scope from addressing women as one group to recognizing the heterogeneity of experiences in the workplace was necessary, as this allowed organizations to address further the inequalities that people experience according to their intersecting identities. So the definition of diversity and inclusion remains to be a topic of debate. So the next slide shows a picture of an iceberg. So let us refer to this as the diversity more than meets the eye. The diversity dimensions that you normally see are just the top of the iceberg. In fact, diversity extends beyond traditional considerations, just as those based on ability, age, culture, race, ethnicity, gender identity, expression, and socioeconomic background, among others. Other dimensions of diversity may sometimes be inherent, such as educational background, training, sector experience, and even personality. So on the one hand, diversity is about representation or the makeup of an entity. Diversity allows the exploration of these differences in a safe, positive, and nurturing environment. Meanwhile, in the context of DEI, equity refers to fair treatment for all people with a focus on identifying and eliminating inequities and barriers. Unlike equality, which assumes that all people should be treated the same, equity considers a person's unique circumstances. It adjusts treatment to ensure that identity is not predictive of opportunities or workplace outcomes. In other words, equity aims to level the playing field and address historical disadvantages. So, just to cite an example, Southeast Asia is one of the most diverse places in the world, comprising a rich mosaic of people, ethnic groups, languages, and beliefs. However, an environment where many genders, races, nationalities, and identities are present does not necessarily make it inclusive. So let me speak more about what inclusion means in the context of DEI in the workplace. Inclusion is about how well the contributions, presence, and perspectives of different groups of people are valued and integrated into an environment. It is a culture that gives everyone a seat at the table. Inclusive cultures make people feel respected and valued for who they are as an individual or a group. Inclusion in the workplace is one of the most important tools for employee retention. It is when employees feel that their ideas, presence, and contributions are truly valued or taken seriously by the organization. It suggests a feeling of belonging or being part of the organization. Some organizations are highly focused on diversity policies, which is a great starting point, But implementing this without inclusion is a huge miss. In other words, diversity and inclusion go hand in hand. So just an example, openness to diversity widens access to the best talent, inclusion promotes the engagement of talent effectively. Or another example, we cannot just talk about women championing gender equality in the workplace, as we, from all genders, need to work together to be successful. So to put it simply, as one author noted, diversity is the mix, and inclusion is getting the mix to work well together. So beyond business and economic performance, DEI within workplaces is simply the correct and smart thing to do. It leads to innovation, creativity, productivity, reputation, engagement, and results. Recognizing DEI as an essential long-term approach is not only a business imperative, but also a crucial step to national development with 50% of the country's population comprised of women. So then now to the work that I do. Most of the time, though just to let you know, I do other activities in my spare time as well. So speaking of PhilWEN, which is the organization that I'm representing today, to foster inclusivity, PhilWEN was established in 2017, and in fact, we are celebrating our 7th anniversary this year, as a coalition of women's business organizations comprised of women in the work marketplace, women in the workplace, and women in communities. Again, because not all women are entrepreneurs, neither are women all professionals, neither are all women as lucky as we are, as we also have underprivileged or marginalized women in the communities. So our organizations are comprised of organizations of women entrepreneurs for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, or MSMEs, large enterprises, startups, marginalized and rural women, and professionals from middle managers, CEOs, and board directors, all advocating for women's economic empowerment through initiatives that encompass a wide age and socioeconomic sphere, as we believe that by working together, we can be a stronger force in achieving our common aspirations. Of course, my two co-speakers, Cosette and Karen, are actually members of the Filipino CEO Circle, as many women that I see here today are members of the Filipino CEO Circle, which is an organization of women CEOs who have risen to the top and have broken the glass ceilings. It is one of our members as well. So thus, our vision is to be the catalyst that will integrate and harness the strengths of coalition members into an influential force for women's economic empowerment, gender equality, and DEI. And our mission is to empower and uplift women to become equal partners in society by equipping them with the tools to provide a better future for themselves and their families, and have the hope, opportunity, and ability to enable all Filipino women to be viewed and treated equally in all aspects of life. So we enable women to be self-sustaining and well-recognized in their community, to be well-respected and truly empowered, and to be advocates for women's rights, capacities, and driving forces for social change. Allow me to speak about our work. Cosette did mention earlier that Aboitiz InfraCapital is a member of this coalition called the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, which is funded by the Australian government through their Investing in Women project. So we established PBCW as our inaugural project in 2017 to demonstrate that gender equality, women's economic empowerment, and DEI is our collective responsibility. So remaining true to our mission of leading the business sector's efforts to institutionalize gender equality in the workplace and pursue women's economic empowerment nationwide. And as of March 2024, PBCW is comprised of 45 member companies representing various sectors and industries. Again, I'm happy to mention that Aboitiz InfraCapital, as well as many other companies of the Aboitiz groups, are members of the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment. As you can see in the slide, these are Many of the members are leading companies in their industries. And I hope that having heard about PBCW, I will be able to encourage other members, other people in the audience, including Manila Times, to become a member of this coalition. So what is common to all these companies is that they have committed to adopt initiatives that are quantifiable, factual, and evidence-based, which gives them a competitive edge in attracting and sustaining the best talent in the workforce. So members of PBCW likewise share in the belief that leadership commitment or setting the tone from the top is the most important driver of change, and that they are equally responsible and accountable for promoting our shared advocacy. Through proactive and responsive policies and programs within and outside the organization, our member companies can chart a course towards sustainability integration. And by incorporating sustainability in their core strategies, executing operational improvements, and leveraging organizational culture, they can accelerate their commitment to sustainability, enhance efficiency, and foster innovation. Let me just mention also some of the work that we do with PBCW members. We engage business leaders and CEOs to lead and advocate DEI in their workplace. So all of the member companies, as I mentioned, are large and industry-leading employers. And related to this, because we believe that what is measured gets done, or more broadly, what is measured gets managed, we believe in the philosophy that we need to collect data to measure, monitor, and evaluate, and improve the policies on DEI of our members. So in 2020, we also launched this diagnostic tool called Gender Equality Assessment Results or Strategies, designed to suit the local context of companies in the ASEAN region. So it is a diagnostic tool that examines company rules and strategies and provides our member companies with insightful assessments of their policies in the workplace on gender equality. So in 2023, again, in support of inclusivity, we added 2 focus areas in this tool: LGBT, EQIA+ inclusion, and accessibility and reasonable accommodation, which refers to the measures taken to ensure that individuals with disabilities have equal access to services, programs, activities, and employment opportunities. We also provide knowledge resources, technical support, and capacity building to help our member companies comply with government policy and achieve organizational transformation. We also work closely with the regulatory agencies to ensure that policies remain relevant and place greater emphasis on sustainability issues, especially gender reporting. In fact, we proposed gender indicators to the SEC in 2021, suggesting that workplace gender equality should be formally accepted as a measurable objective by regulators, especially publicly listed companies and other stakeholders, and make gender reporting mandatory rather than voluntary at the moment. So as you probably heard, the SEC is revising the sustainability guidelines, and we're looking forward to them institutionalizing diversity and inclusion as mandatory disclosures, as we have proposed. We've also published a research paper on the gender disclosures of the top 30 PLCs in the Philippines, which we launched in Women's Month also last year. And in summary, the analysis highlights the significance of gender disclosures in the narrative and conduct of sustainability reports. While PLCs are compliant with the SEC guidelines in general, there is a need to take a closer look and revisit the recommended indicators to incorporate specific data points that can more accurately capture the current status of WGE and DI in Philippine PLCs. In PhilWEN, we believe that collaboration is the key to amplify our advocacies. At the regional level, we are the Philippine focal point of the ASEAN Women Entrepreneurs Network, or AWEN, which is likewise comprised of coalitions of women's business organizations in the ASEAN member states. It was organized by Vietnam in 2014 with the vision to be the leading private organization in areas for the promotion, development, and empowerment of women entrepreneurs. In 2015, we were actually actively involved in partnership with the Department of Trade and Industry, the Philippine Commission on Women, in the hosting of APEX Women in the Economy Forum, providing insights on how to enhance women's inclusion and economic empowerment in changing the world by promoting gender equality. Again, in 2017, we were involved as private sector, together again with DTI and PCW, in the hosting of the ASEAN 2017, where the ASEAN leaders adopted the action agenda on mainstreaming economics empowerment in the ASEAN region to achieve a gender-responsive ASEAN economic community. And in 2021, we also led a study for the region called ASEAN Through a Gender Lens, which highlights the recommendations for the full implementation of the action agenda, which was previously adopted by the leaders in 2017. So to date, we continue to establish partnerships with local organizations, development institutions, and relevant business organizations, including ECOP, PCCI, and National Council of Women of the Philippines, as well as international development institutions, such as Oxfam and ILO, UN Women, and Global Affairs of Canada. So our commitment to empowering women and promoting inclusivity has led to our participation in collaborative projects that were instrumental to growing our network and stimulating a dialogue on the shared responsibility of creating and sustaining an inclusive society. So I also showed here some of our initiatives together with the DTI, where we're involved in the review of the policy, the testing of the policy toolkit to assess whether the MSC policies of the country have a gender lens. We're also sitting and representing the women's sector in the SMED, MSME Council, and also we are a network partner of DTI for ASEAN Access, which seeks to promote trade and investment across the region, particularly targeting the small and medium enterprises. So as PhilWEN, we really try to, we practice inclusivity in the sense that we cater to all the needs of women depending on what type of activity they're engaged in. Inclusivity empowers everyone to be more responsive, representative, and impactful. So, these examples that I've shared with you, I think that inclusivity allows each of us to contribute to a stronger and more just society. In civil society organizations, being inclusive pushes members to make deliberate efforts to create an environment where all members, regardless of their background, identity, or abilities, feel welcome, respected, and enabled to participate. In the corporate setting, inclusivity encourages a company to positively shape its organizational culture and employee experience by acknowledging their unique contributions at work. From a regional or global perspective, prioritizing inclusivity will ensure that every citizen has legal protection, access to institutions, and opportunities to participate in the social, economic, and political spheres. Inclusivity is a fundamental principle that should shape our societies, creating spaces where everyone feels valued, respected, and heard, our way of promoting active acceptance and celebrating diversity. Inclusivity breaks down barriers as it empowers all individuals, including those with disabilities, and challenges stereotypes and unconscious biases. By fostering inclusivity, we have the ability to unlock untapped potential to drive economic and social progress. We have the collective responsibility to promote and advocate for inclusivity. It is not just a box to be checked, but rather a commitment that amplifies underrepresented voices, enabling diversity to thrive. Finally, let me just say, mainstreaming gender equality, women's economic empowerment, diversity, equity, and inclusion requires a multi-sectoral collaboration and a multi-dimensional approach. to ensure that no one is left behind. So with that, I'd like to thank you and happy International Women's Month to all.
Thank you, Boots. We will be inviting you back on stage a bit later for the business session question and answer segment with Kim Bernardo-Lokin. And now, on to our fourth talk. Our fourth speaker has over 30 years of experience serving as an inspiration for the new breed of real estate practitioners. She has transformed top businesses and residential districts. She has reshaped the landscape with groundbreaking ventures, pioneered projects in the then developing Manila Bay Area, and reinvented property investments with the rent-vestment concept. She is the president of Anchor Land Holdings Incorporated. Now, Anchor Land Holdings Incorporated is one of the country's leading fully integrated real estate developers and one of the only 2 Philippine companies to be included in the Forbes magazine's Best Companies in Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Elizabeth Beth Ventura.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'll be talking today about breaking into and excelling in a male-centric arena. But before anything else, I'd like to greet all the champions and triumphant women in this room today. As we celebrate Women's Month, it's important to, now my ensemble is, it's okay, this is part of my ensemble. Okay, so it's important to recognize invaluable contributions of women in various fields, including business. Today, I want to shine a light on what I like to call the heart side of business. The intersection of empathy, creativity, and innovation that women bring to the table, particularly in real estate, which, as we all know, a male-dominated industry. Well, despite men outnumbering the ladies in this powerful arena, the real estate sector still stands as an empowerment landscape and determined and resilient women. Our tribe is definitely increasing, and there has been a notable rise in the participation and success of women in this field, and I am proud to be one of the movers and shakers of the property sector. Our role is crucial because real estate is not just about buying and selling properties. It's about shaping communities, empowering individuals, and fostering growth. Women in this field are not merely participants. We are catalysts for change. As empowered women, I say we should not be afraid to prepare ourselves for bigger roles, to assert ourselves, and to take on challenges head-on. Today, let me share how to conquer a field supposedly made for men. What sets women apart in this industry is our innate empathy and keen attention on details. As a woman who approach transactions with a meticulous eye, we should nurture our understanding that emotions can be converted into passion and we can drive them towards our goals. Moreover, we play a crucial role as channels of communication. For instance, my deep connection to the market, which I can attribute to what some call mother's instinct, allows me to anticipate needs and trends in ways that others might overlook. That is a special ability for us women that can work to to our advantage in this sector. In an industry where revenue reigns supreme, women like us must wield our power not through force, but through charm and strategic maneuvering. We understand the importance of leveraging technology, not just as a tool, but as means to enhance creativity and innovation. Our creativity and innovativeness are grounded in real living conditions. In my case, I don't just see buildings. I envision homes and communities where dreams can take root and flourish. I am part of something bigger by providing a lifestyle and comfort to generations of families and harness that creativity as it is your advantage and your edge. But perhaps what truly sets women in real estate apart is our understanding that we don't need to conform to traditional notions of power. We recognize our femininity is not a weakness to be overcome, but a strength to be embraced. We are empowered to inspire, not to dominate. Just always remember to leverage your unique strength, stay true to yourself, and continue to pursue opportunities for growth and advancement. Despite the barriers we may face, we earn respect from our male colleagues through sheer determination and competence. The power of women's charm is a key to the shift towards stylish and influential women conquering the real estate industry. We're witnessing a surge of stylish and influential women making significant strides in the industry, especially in the international scene. Reminiscent of the captivating personalities showcased in popular reality shows on platforms like Netflix. These women are rewriting the rules, infusing charm, sophistication, and a fresh perspective into the traditional male-dominated landscape. The dynamics of the real estate market are evolving, and it's thrilling to see more women stepping into the limelight, confidently navigating deals and shaping trends. This shift signifies a broader culture change, one where diversity and innovation are celebrated. The barriers to entry are breaking down. Here in the Philippines, we're primed to embrace the exciting change in the game as women continue to rise and shine in real estate. There's an opportunity for us to harness our unique talent, charm, and expertise to make our mark in this dynamic industry. So this picture is taken 5 years ago. We're still chubby and all, but we're very charming. These are all the girls in real estate. We call our group the Women of Real Estate. Okay, so let's seize this moment and embark on our journey to success, inspired by trailblazing women who have paved the way. Together, we can elevate the real estate landscape and also an entire business sector and celebrate immense potential for female leadership. Cheers to us powerful women, or should I say powerful, charming women. And good morning to all of you.
Thank you, Beth. I would like to invite you back on stage. Please make yourself comfortable. as we invite our moderator to join you for our first question and answer segment of today's forum. We call on our moderator, DTI Undersecretary Kim Bernardo-Lokin. We would also like to welcome back on stage Karen Roa and Boots Garcia to join Beth and Kim for our business session question and answer segment. Kim Bernardo-Lokin has been appointed as a board member of the Philippine International Trading Corporation. She has also been the managing editor at Business and Class magazine. She is an experienced journalist with a demonstrated history of working in both the newspaper and broadcast industry, skilled in hosting, producing, and news writing, among others. In the past, she has been a TV host at the Manila Times TV, business columnist at the Manila Times, CIB-AC party list representative at the Philippine House of Representatives, a business anchor at the People's Television Network Incorporated, and an anchor and reporter at ABS-CBN. Kim, you have about 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Janina. Thank you. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, especially to my friend Clink there, who seems to be in the middle of a room full of women. So good morning, ladies, and thank you very much for joining us today. So we do have a little time left. If we have a little bit more time after this, maybe we can also ask the audience to participate. But, okay, so Cosette is no longer here, right? So we will start with you, Karen. Okay, so since we have very little time left, we'll start with what you had mentioned earlier. So part of your speech, Karen, is about social biases and overcoming them. So the question is, how do you achieve your own authenticity, which you mentioned earlier? Meaning to say, how can you inspire other women to speak out without fear of encountering these social biases, which are still here in the Philippine setting, sometimes coming also from other women? Karen.
Thank you very much, Kim. You're going to notice later on that there's going to be a lot of overlapping responses. And I'd like to take, from what Cosette had mentioned also, calling them out. I think at this certain point in your life where you've gone through a couple of, a number of experiences, they say, there's no filter anymore. And I think, if you frame it properly, these things should be called out, right? The behavior. But apart from also being able to call it out, is educating. A lot of times we don't really notice that what we are saying could be perpetuating that kind of bias. So self-awareness is one of those things that we need to be able to embrace. And another thing I like what Beth had mentioned, right? I'm just kind of like getting from everybody's talks, right? Is embracing your femininity. So with those two, I think that's going to allow you to be able to promote your own authenticity. Right? You don't need to be, dominant, right? Or maybe the dominance will be in a more feminine way, right? So I think I believe in all of those things, right? So you choose, certain aspects and characteristics that are innate to women, and you embrace that, and that will reflect your own authenticity. And use that to be able to propel also your own leadership style. So that's my take.
Okay, that's an amazing answer actually, because sometimes we don't know when to actually put ourselves forward or when to stop, what to do in certain situations, right? So okay, so Boots, would you want to add a little bit to that?
I just wanted to add my own thoughts on the question.
I think you're...
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you put it...
That if you do present yourself, let's say in a situation, you have to be sure yourself about, let's say, maybe I can relate it to a board setting where, because that's, I do,
Of course,
I
corporate
do have
setting,
a lot
yes.
of board meeting, I do have a lot of directorships. When you speak out, you better make sure and be confident about what your response will be or your comment on let's say a decision an issue that is being decided upon. Because if you just speak for the sake of speaking, then obviously you will not be taken seriously, nor your ideas be taken into consideration. So prepare. I mean, there's a process of you yourself preparing, whether it's a board meeting, whether it's for a talk, whether it's for an interaction with other people. Then that's where you can project your authenticity because you have the confidence to deliver your own idea or commentary.
Okay, so, and that is especially challenging in a field where it's a male-dominated industry. For example, I think more than real estate. We're talking about your industry also, Beth. So how would you charm your way as you had mentioned earlier, in a male-dominated field?
Well, the beauty with women is we're really beautiful in carrying ourselves. And women are naturally proper. But there are also times that we really need to remind ourselves to present ourselves very well, especially on occasions where they expect so much about us, from us. So, like me, I would be invited to not just on board meetings, but also attend meetings wherein I will be the only woman in the room, and not just a woman, but a woman who would be dressing up like you just want to charm everybody your way to the meetings, right? Physically, yes, it is important to fix ourselves because, after all, it's also about packaging, right? But you have to be more important and you have to be more loud the moment that you open your mouth. And that is not talking loudly about things, but talking proper about things. And for the young women here, it is very important that before we aspire for higher position, we just don't prepare ourselves physically, but also mentally.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So we also have another one here. Cosette is not here at this point, but she mentioned also one very valuable thing. She said, you should create spaces where voices are heard and valued. I think the question here would be, how do you do that in your companies? How do you make sure, and what are the metrics that you should look out for in order to achieve inclusivity? So maybe, again, we'll start with you, Karen.
How do we create spaces? I think it's just a matter of being able to expose and engage. Personally, I like to be able to, do a lot of one-on-ones. I like to be able to go around. I like to be able to talk about a balance of what's going on in the office and in also understanding their home life. So with that, that interpersonal and rapport, I think allows for many to be able to speak up and give them that opportunity and venue. So it's always, I think, a balance. We want to be able to engage beyond also the workplace. And by understanding that, that will allow them to further develop, to gain confidence, to be able to expose, and an understanding of all of these things will be able to promote and create a more harmonious environment, I think, for both the office space and as well as the female worker.
Okay, so one more that I picked up earlier. Actually, this was from your speech, Boots. How should companies, both in the private and in public sectors, ensure inclusivity where we can truly say that everyone has a seat in the table?
I wanted to add to Karen's
Okay, so go ahead,
thing,
yes.
but which is related actually to your question. This creating spaces should start from you. You should first have the mindset that you're willing to listen to others' opinion, because we do not have the monopoly of opinion or ideas. And I've had my own bit of experience, 6 years in the government as well, leading the Basis Conversion Development Authority. And in government, somehow you have this mindset that you cannot speak up, right? But in our case, we did encourage everyone. So importantly, you yourself thinks that I have to hear the views of others and I have to create the opportunity for them to say what they think, rather than just impose on them that this is how you do it, there's no other way you can do it. So really, I think it should be first start with the leaders having this mindset of openness. Then creating spaces comes naturally because it's built into your DNA, so to speak.
Okay, so that sounds really good. If only we could expect all our leaders to be like that. So yes, but so that is actually one of PhilWEN's job, right? Okay, so would you like to add to that, Beth?
Yeah, again, because we have that mother instinct, right? We love to listen. We are very compassionate, and every bright idea starts with listening. And great result always comes with giving compassion and empathy on situations. So I think that's so innate to women, and that's our advantage.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, last question, because we are already like close to lunch, and I think we're the only ones that are hindering their lunch break. So last question, what would you advise for all three of you? What would you advise women in corporate settings on all about breaking glass ceilings? Karen?
I mentioned earlier that I actually have 4 daughters, and I think role modeling is very critical. They see what I do, they see that I still attend to their own needs. But my advice really to them all the time is really make sure to assert yourself. Okay? And just be able to speak up your mind. And take your career by the bull's horn and drive it. I think by doing that, then you're going to be able to find that seat on the table. You're the one that's going to drive your own career, and through that, then hopefully, my children will be one of us in this room.
Okay, good answer, great answer. Thank you very much. But okay, so Beth, did you say we have one question? Did you? Oh, okay, we'll allow that. Okay, go ahead. So we'll allow one. Of course, Women's Month, right?
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
because you women said to raise your voice, so giving it a shot. So good morning. I wanted to ask maybe a build up to what you mentioned as a question for the women in business, or at least women professionals leading organizations. Coming from the entrepreneurial field, like startups, SMEs, not really working in the corporate sector, but also trying out to become their own leaders as entrepreneurs, what can you say, or at least how do you encourage them, especially those who feel, I would say, the imposter syndrome and perhaps, their own limiting beliefs? Have you encountered that yourself in your career, and how did you deal with that and overcome that?
Okay, thank you very much for that. She comes from the startup industry, so this time Beth, she comes from the startup, and I think the main question is that how do you move forward despite the challenges, because there are many, so how do you soldier on?
Brave it. And I think many times and regularly we would have women joining us in our monthly FCC meetings, and I have heard really young entrepreneurs really braving it, and they're not just very smart, but also they're very not only innovative, but also very uniquely brave, that at a young age, at some limitations, they were able to do it. And I myself, I started from the ranks, and in a male-dominated industry, And I just went on, but again, make sure that you are prepared to take the challenge.
Okay, thank you very much, Beth. And maybe to add to that, get yourself a support group. I think that's very important. It's very difficult to do it alone, but with a team, with a lot of members supporting you, you'll make it. Okay, so finally, Boots.
Just to respond to your supposed last question, you know, a few years ago we did a study on women in the C-suite and why there's such a thing as a leaking pipeline. And there are two sides to it. One is because of the lack of support from organizations to allow women to remain in the workforce or to continue a career. But importantly also, it was the women themselves, you know, that we're not coming forward or not taking advantage of opportunities. So my challenge to women, and to anyone for that matter, is instead of asking why me, for example, when a promotion opportunity is given or an posting somewhere is given to you, rather than ask the question, why me, the question should have been, why not me? You know, why not me? Why am I not the one promoting, etc.? So really, let's not blame the corporates for not providing, or organizations for not providing, but we ourselves have to do something about this.
Okay, very much well said. Thank you very much, ladies. So Karen Roa, Beth Ventura, and Boots Garcia. So thank you very much. Turning it over back to you, Janine.
She is the Wilcon Depot Incorporated Senior Executive Vice President and COO. Ladies and gents, please give a round of applause for Rosemary Rose Bosch-Ong.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Women's Month to all the wonderful, amazing, beautiful ladies I see in the room, the movers and shakers of the Philippine economy. I wonder what's going to happen with, with the stock market now. All the girls are here. I think, 90% of the room are women, except for our honorary gentleman here, Mr. Dante Ang. Dante Klink Ang. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Manila Times again for staging and organizing this empowering forum, honoring and celebrating women, and of course, inspiring inclusivity. I think that's a topic for today. Well, as you know, I'm Rosemary Bosch-Ong. I'm wearing so many hats. How many hats do I wear? Yeah, there. I'm very honored with this lofty roles and titles. But believe me, it took many years of hard work, really, to be worthy of them. But above and beyond this, I'm just honored and humbled to be with my other roles. I am a wife, or rather, I would say I was a wife, because I got widowed already. I'm a mom. I'm a mom, I have one son, Amos, very loving and doting son. I'm a daughter. I am a sister. And you are all my sisters here from different mothers. And I am a woman. Women have indeed gone a long way. History shows women being regarded as inferior to man. Perhaps that began during the time when, we were seen as an extension of the Adam's rib. Tama ba? Adam's rib. Well, that stigma of inferiority and being relegated to the background has plagued many women for years. In fact, I don't know if you watch television. I'm sure most of you watch Netflix, no? In a recent series aired on television called Maria Clara and Ibarra, it highlighted the sorry and very shoddy treatment of women during the Spanish colonization. I'm a baby boomer, but I didn't experience that time. Women are subservient or submissive to men. They should always yield to their husband, even if they're, whether they're abusive or not. Women don't have the right to higher education because what for? Their place is in the home, just to take care of the children, take care of the home, take care of the family. Women cannot own anything because they are properties of their husbands. Women can only be seen and cannot publicly express their opinions, except in gossip circles. Usually, yung mga marites during those days, they would talk about community scandals and some chargy topics. Things didn't improve much. Even during the American, colonization, we were colonized by the Americans from the land of the free, di ba? So they came to the Philippines, and women at that time were still subjected to cheap labor and employed as unskilled workers. In many Asian countries, I would say, women still struggle to be recognized as any of the Korean drama fanatics out there. Who are those? I'm sure most of the girls here. They can always tell you also from what they watch, right? So that a lot of women, they still struggle. But fortunately for us Filipinas, we seem to be getting louder voice and are able to assert ourselves in the society compared to our Asian counterparts. We are recognized for excellence in the workplace. Organizations such as the Women Business Council of the Philippines, in that table, the empowered women business leaders who advocates for, business and also leadership in different venues as well, no? So women are lording it all in traditional male-dominated clusters. I would say I am one of those living testament. I operate in a male-dominated industry, no? They are in construction, real estate, architecture, politics, among other fields. I can testify that women continue to rise and prove themselves to be capable. Let me share with you some examples. The Philippine Coast Guard now has a female commodore. Her name is Luz Escarilla. Our first Olympic gold medalist is a woman, Heidelin Diaz. The esteemed Armed Forces of the Philippines recently named a woman whose expertise is pistol and cyber security. Her name is Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla. She is the first Filipina to hold this position in the 88 years of existence of the institution. The Secretary of Commerce, unfortunately, she's not here, of the most powerful economies in the world, the United States, is a woman named Gina Raimondo. Moreover, Filipinas are bridging the employment gap with more engagement in male-dominated fields. That's because, actually, I'd like to quote myself, no? In one of the interviews in a magazine, I really said this: the best man for a job is a woman, and that's me. But being a woman in a dog-eat-dog world hasn't, and will never be easy. My 40 years in retail and home improvement was never a walk in the park. Calling it, a roller coaster journey for me, I would say that the challenges will be an understatement. But of course, what are the formula? Hard work, determination, perseverance, and the drive for excellence will always pull you through. I was also blessed with valuable mentors and, of course, surrounded by, wonderful peoples. I get the support of my peers as well. I get the guidance and the wisdom of our Chairman Emeritus and founder of Wilcon, Mr. William Bello, which is, I find it priceless, Good mentors can help you. Regardless of the gender, it can help you attain whatever goals you have. And I get also the full support of my peers in the industry, men and women alike. We collaborate and interface on several levels. Believe me, the conversation will never stop. It will always be engaging and insightful, especially with women, di ba? So through them, I am continually unraveling my full potential as a leader. I work hard, and I always try to strive for excellence. I'm able to inspire others as well, I hope. And I hope that, others will take their path and become leaders in their fields. So what I'm saying is this is an environment wherein, people embraces inclusivity. It make you, when you embrace inclusivity, it will make you soar higher. So my guiding principle in life is that when times are tough or when times are challenging, I always look at the bright side of things. I don't carry the weather around me. I look at the silver linings, no? And usually, I use the challenge to improve myself. And at the same time, to inspire others, no? And sometimes, it comes in simplest, things, no? Like for your employees, when they appreciate the little things that you do in life, especially me at this stage in my life, I now value the small things, no? I mean, baby steps na, no? Like the big things already, you already reach your potential in life, no? So if I may quote Joy Bell C. in one of her books, she said that the strength of a woman is not measured by the impact from all the hardships that she had in her life, no? But the strength of a woman is measured by the extent of her refusal to allow those hardships to dictate her and who she becomes. As we talk about inclusivity today, remember that we don't have control of the things around us. We don't have control of what others think about us. I always believe that whatever happened in your life, you let it happen and you made it happen. But we have control of our responses and our actions to improve the situation. I believe that God has blessed all of us with, different spheres of influences. It's how, whether you're in retail, you're in construction, whatever role you have in your life, no? We must acknowledge that women's empowerment goes hand in hand with inclusive leadership. Well, inclusive leadership is an authentic leadership styles that rule out discrimination, biases, and favor, regardless of what gender, color, belief, or background you have, or whatever protected characteristics you have. And that allows everyone to feel valued based on their input. So based on your capability, whether you're man or whether you're woman, it's more like treating everybody equal and giving the same opportunity for everyone. Yet, of course, it's always inevitable that women, experience gender bias people. But holding a leadership position does not mean that we as women leaders will make men feel they're discriminated or undervalued, right? So, remember, our topic now is about inclusivity. And when we talk about inclusivity starts with the letter I. I, ourselves, right? So let me share with you who are those influencers. I'm sure many of you inspired me in one way or another. All of you, I guess, no? Especially in the table there, table here, and the table here, all the tables around, no? So you've inspired me, but I'd like to share with you how I was inspired or how my mother became a great influence in my life. I would say that in a lot of ways, she was ahead of her time, no? Anecdotally, I'd like to share this with you. Even before the globalization buzzword, is talked about, my mother at that time, she was very good in correspondence, no? At that time, she would be writing different suppliers abroad in order for my father to bring in goods, no? So that time, you don't do direct import. Let's say you're a retailer or you're a vendor, whatever. So you go through an indentor first. So the indentor will do that for you. So my mother was really ahead of her time. And even during that time that, she got separated with my father, they were separated when I was at the age of 19, I guess, no? She raised 6 of us, her children. And, probably that's the reason why I'm a late bloomer. I was telling Clink, when we were seated. Actually, it was a privilege to lead people also throughout my 40 years in our industry, the retail construction industry. I started working at Wilcon when I was a little girl. And then that time we only had 2 branches. I've seen and witnessed how the company grew and evolved. And I would say that I've been an integral part of the transformation of the company from what it is now. And I could say that, our culture and commitment to inclusion, even before that buzzword, is really very much evident in the company. We treat everyone equal. We provided same opportunities for everyone. Although I don't have much time to talk today, maybe you can ask me later. But let me share with you some how we embrace the culture of inclusivity in the company. Number 1, recognize that men and women are equal, deserving of the same opportunities, rights, and respect. We have this wrong notion that women are inferior to men. But yes, wives could submit to their husbands. But remember, the husbands were the first to initiate love, right? So men and women should be treated equally. And it is high time for us to erase that notion or that unfair notion that when men persevere, they are assertive. But if the women does the same thing, they will say, oh, that woman is very pushy, that woman is super ambitious, things like those, no? So our company, I would say that even if we are, a male-dominated industry, of course, construction, retail, no? We always, treat each other equally, no? In fact, we have 92 branches, and out of the 92 branches, 32 of the operations head or the leaders in the branch who are in the helm, I would say are women. So 32 out of 92, that's 35%, And we have other positions also being, like for example, I'm head of operations. I have 9 cluster heads, and we call them assistant vice presidents. Each cluster would cover, let's say, 10 branches, no? And, the combination, 50-50, 5 women, including me, and 5 men. So I think it's even more encouraging, no? The 35% than, better way than the 10%. I'm sure you've read it, Fortune's 500 list, wherein they say there are 47 women CEOs in the Fortune 500 list CEOs. So that's only 10%. So I would say that diversity and inclusivity is very much alive and present in our company. Okay, number 2 tips, foster collaboration. Men and women could have different viewpoints, definitely, no? I mean, even girls, no, we argue. We argue a lot also. But at the end of the day, you agree to argue. But together, of course, with respect, you come up with something that works better out, no? So through collaboration, we can challenge, traditional gender norms and stereotypes and foster more inclusive cultures. Next, number 3, be aware of and overcome your biases. I'm sure we have biases, no? Like me, I have favorites, especially those that can deliver. You always, you do this, you do that, because they can deliver, no? But there could be times when, sometimes it's not intentional or it's inadvertent for you to do that. Again, it could be possible because Filipinos have absorbed the gender stereotypes, no? But at Wilcon, we have a very clear standards and quantitative measures when evaluating performances. Like for example, our management they're always composed of a great combination of men and women. And as leaders, we aim to walk the talk. And when it comes to cultivating collaboration, inclusivity, and bias-free environment. So, on a personal note, I have some tips again, no? As leader, for us to be an authentic or inclusive leader, we have to walk the talk. Stay true to your values. Just very recently, in January, that's when we launched our battle cry for the year, no? And our battle cry for the year is Dapat Totoo. Dapat Totoo relates to one of the values that we have, which is integrity, no? Do you know that integrity, it's about trust, it's about building trust, diba? You build it in years and you lose it in seconds, no, if you don't take care of it. So when you say integrity, diba, I've read that it's a Latin word, no? When you say integer, it's one, it's whole. So you cannot be one here and then at the back you're different, no? So it's all about walking the talk. And I guess the best example of a leader is being a model. So whatever they see in you, you can voice out something, you can voice out strongly about something, but again, you have to encourage authenticity and of course with respect. That's very important in any relationship, no? You have to have that level of professionalism, that level of respect in articulating your thoughts. Again, we have differences, men and women, and even women themselves, no? But it's very important that you maintain a level of professionalism and respect. Remember that building trust and credibility is integral to creating lasting relationships. And of course, let's all celebrate women's achievements, especially your own. It's very natural for women to shy away from the applause. Sometimes, parang nahihiya. We're ashamed, no, to celebrate our achievements. We're ashamed of that. In some cultures, women are taught to be modest. They only come in front when you want to applaud for, those, I would say, stage motherly side, diba? So, it's about time that we should celebrate and be proud of what we have achieved, no? Just like what I've said, inclusivity starts with I, and it's about ourselves, no? I'll be very mayabang today. Over the course of time, I feel grateful for the recognition. Yung mga recent na lang, wag na yung mga ages ago or decades ago na recognition. So the most recent, I feel grateful for being recognized as, a Hall of Famer in the World Women Leadership Congress, Women of Substance Award from the Manila Times Global Excellence, and of course, Women of Power Awardee. And I want more. Everybody wants more recognition, wants more award, no? So remember, celebrating achievements is a way to honor your journey and to inspire others, no? Let me tell you this funny story. When I was, when I received an award, yung International Women Entrepreneur Award, I had to bring 3 tables. I had to bring 3 tables to Shanghai, including our chairman emeritus. And you know what he said? After this, I will not go anymore in the next award, because it's all picture, with all the ladies, no? So, that's very funny, really. And of course, speak out and lead. Using your voice to address issues, assert your rights, and lead not only empowers yourself, but also contributes to the broader fight for women's rights and gender inclusivity or equality. Well, we may find it natural for women to be submissive, but in times of crisis, we need a leader, we need a leader that should come out. We should learn to stand out and speak out, no? Sabi nga nung ating first Filipino president, Maria Corazon Aquino, she said, sa bawat pagsubok na hinaharap, ang kababaihan ay lalong tumatatag at lumalakas. So for every challenge that we face, women remain resilient and strong. So I would say that back in 2020, one of the most difficult times faced by businesses in recent history was the pandemic. Never in the history of Wilcon, 47 years, we're asked to close for 2 months. Can you imagine that? And as the president of the Philippine Retailers Association at that time, I was able to lead the group and PRA's more than 400 member companies throughout the pandemic. From testing to tracing to providing vaccine to organizing forums to organizing conferences, Zoom and all of these webinars. for them to be able to navigate and thrive by providing them timely and very relevant seminars or learnings and teachings, no, so that they can thrive and survive the crisis, and of course get support from the government, no. And of course, lastly, learn new things. I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't committed myself to self-improvement. I believe that I need to continually learn and grow, and I'm driven to be well-rounded, but also to be mentally and skillfully flexible to better deal with the demands, challenges, and changes in the workplace, especially because I'm placed in an environment surrounded by men. It is very natural for me as a woman to always do the extra mile. As I was saying earlier, we try to always do the extra mile because we wanted to prove something, right? So to do an extra mile, to do a better job, and to learn more and even grow faster. So to cope with that, with the changes and the development, I'd like to flag this, no? I decided to pursue my MBA degree at the De La Salle University, and I would proudly, announce that Klink is my classmate, even if we're not at the same age, no? I had to juggle my time. That time, that was 2007. I graduated 2010. I did it in 3 years with distinction, Klink, remember? With distinction. And of course, I had to do it, with the different responsibilities I have in my work. Wilcon is rapidly growing at that time, although we're not yet listed, 2007. So I believe that I have to learn it on my own, no? So I have to juggle my time between my work, my family, because my son at that time was 9 years old. And I remember also I was part of many civic organizations as well, no? So even during the pandemic, I took on a course at INSEAD. We have here the Ambassador Her Excellency from France, no? So I took a course in INSEAD on strategies for digital transformation to cope with the challenges of the time. Especially, that time we're talking about digital transformation because we're in the pandemic. We have to connect with each other, right? So there's mobility issue, and we have to be connected. So I have to learn how to digitally transform myself into what I am now. So investing myself in, to improve my skills, and it allowed me to handle bigger roles, bigger responsibilities, believe me. And it also gave me an easier way to cope with, all the different challenges, especially with the expansion of Wilcon. By Friday next week, we will be 93 stores. By the end of the year, we'll be 100 stores. Can you imagine that? Yes, being a woman in a male-dominated, thank you, my dear friends. They're all my friends, Actually, they're one of the 3 tables that I brought here. So, being a woman in a male-dominated industry is not really an easy path. Believe me, it's really very challenging, But of course, I appreciate man. That's why we're women. We came from the man, right? So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Remember, growth starts in the most uncomfortable situations. Look for someone, like all of you here. Look for someone who can help you stay on track and even develop yourself. That's why, your peers is really very important, no? And of course, acknowledge that everything that we do today is an investment in creating a more inclusive culture for future generations, both for men and women. The world can sometimes be hard on women, so don't be hard on yourself. God made every one of us limitless. We are just the ones who limit ourselves by listening to the lies that the world says about women. So just as the central theme of the forum is, inspiring inclusivity is a collective responsibility for men and women alike, not just women. As a woman who's been in a male-dominated industry, I could say that women can pave the way for younger generations to pursue their own passions in any industry they lead. To my fellow women, may the word of God remind you the truth, that we are all powerful. That's why women empowerment. We are all powerful, we are all cherished, and we are all loved beings. So as I quote Psalm 139 verse 14 says it best that we are fearfully, wonderfully made, and you shouldn't forget it. Again, we are all fearfully and wonderfully made. And as a woman, I'm extremely blessed to be where I am. Even if I can never say that I have it all. No, you can still keep on pushing yourself. And while I'm on a relentless drive for excellence, I'm humble enough to know that I can never achieve perfection. But what I can do, though, is that I will just have to focus on what's important. So let's work together for the future where anyone can thrive without limitations or prejudice, and everyone's contributions are valued and respected regardless of gender, race, color, background, whatever, characteristics there is. So that's all for today. I hope that I was able to inspire all of you, and thank you and have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Rose. We will be inviting you back on stage for our second business question and answer segment after our sixth and final talk. And now, our sixth speaker is a beautypreneur, distinguished by her innovating concepts and momentous achievements for not one, but two companies. As a leader, she moves rhythmically with her team in the fast-paced world of beauty to successfully launch brands to a community of doctors, clinics, aesthetic centers, and wellness institutions, whilst imprinting the integrity of her core values of empowering women. She is the CEO of both DMark Beauty Corporation and DermAsia Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Nikki Tang.
A very warm afternoon to everyone here, and I'm very, very happy to be here to share how inclusivity can really empower each and every one of us. In the humble beginnings of DMark Beauty and DermAsia, the first day felt like turning the first page of a new chapter. The room was filled with eager faces. Some shared with my Chinese heritage, others carried the warmth of the Philippines. We didn't call it inclusivity back then. We were just a group of people with a shared dream, not realizing that this was the seed from which inclusivity would grow. We've invited people in our journey from all walks of life. Those who have witnessed the evolution of decades, and those whose stories are just beginning in their mid-20s. No matter their age, each person is part of the family, their sense of belonging as clear as the roles they fill. Anna, our finance officer, with her hair as silver as the moon, brings with her a treasure of wisdom. Chris, whose journey is just unfolding, bring a spark that ignites innovation and change. Their contributions, their presence, that's the heartbeat of our inclusivity. At DMark Beauty and DermAsia, we specialize in beauty and skincare products and cutting-edge technology that not only enhance the beauty outer, but also empower individuals to feel content in their own skin. Through our work, we strive to break down societal barriers and promote inclusivity by celebrating the unique beauty of every individual, regardless of their background and age. But inclusivity isn't just about the policies we put on the paper. Its foundation is deeper, rooted in a mindset that understands the power, what I call heart. When I walk the floors of DMark Beauty and DermAsia office, I try my best to make humility as my compass. It guides me to listen, to learn from the collective wisdom of our team. We had an intern one time who suggested a fresh approach to social media that none of us, even myself, had even considered. It would have been easy to dismiss the idea from someone so new and young, but humility whispered, There's value in every suggestion. We gave it a try, and it turned out to be a game changer, increasing our engagement. That lesson from the intern was a clear sign that no matter our age or tenure, we each have insight that can lead to breakthroughs. Humility in the workplace means we celebrate learning no matter who the teacher is. Empathy is about genuinely listening to the stories behind the faces we work with every day. Empathy in our workplace at DMark Beauty and DermAsia is the bridge that connects us, allowing us to understand the journeys that each and every one of us has. I remember having a dedicated team member who was struggling to balance her role and caring for an ill member of her family. When we tried to genuinely listen to her story, we understood her challenges and were able to offer flexible working hours. This small act of empathy not only helped her manage her responsibilities, but also reinforced that our entire team, we truly care about what happens beyond the office walls. We all know that empathy is putting ourselves in others' shoes and recognizing their challenges and triumphs as if they were our own. In this case, it's about creating a workplace where everyone feels supported and understood, not just as employees, but as people with lives, dreams, and sometimes burdens. Through empathy, we create an environment where compassion leads to make our team stronger and connected. It's about making the effort to see beneath the surface, to embrace the unique circumstances of each person's lives, and to show that in our company, we're not just colleagues, we're a community that stands together. When I speak of appreciation, it's not just about recognizing someone's effort. It's about valuing the different life experiences that walk through our doors. At DMark Beauty and DermAsia, we learn to go beyond than just acknowledging the work of our team. It's about truly admiring the myriad of life experiences each person brings into our space. When we were brainstorming for a new product line, we had a team member who grew up in a rural Philippine province. She shared insights from her childhood that were completely foreign to all of us. Her stories of local herbal remedies inspired a possible partnership with our company to offer new skincare offerings. We didn't just recognize her effort. We celebrated her whole life, her whole self, and the richness of her experience. This approach transformed a simple meeting into a treasure of ideas and illustrated how deeply valuing diverse life experiences can lead to innovation and unity in the workplace. At DMark Beauty and DermAsia, we strive to set respect as a cornerstone of our culture. We are not perfect, but we consciously make an effort to make respect deeply ingrained in every interaction and situation. It manifests in how we treat each individual and recognize that from the front desk to the finance department, everyone's insights are valuable, as crucial as those of our executives. This principle of equality sets the stage of our meetings, where we do more than just share updates. We take a moment to appreciate the hard work everyone has done for the week. There was a time when our project leader actively encouraged every team member, be it interns or senior staff, to contribute their ideas during discussions. In one instance, our junior developer once hesitated to share an unconventional big idea during the brainstorming session. The project leader, sensing his hesitation, paused the discussion to give him the floor. The developer's ideas, initially shared with trepidation, ended up revolutionizing our campaign strategy and contributing to one of their most successful projects to date. This culture of respect, where every contribution is valued and every team member is empowered to speak up, reinforces the belief that every voice matters, irrespective of position or tenure. When we foster an environment where respect is both practice and a value, we turn our diverse group of individuals into a cohesive, formidable team. At DMark Beauty and DermAsia, trust is what allows us to turn our boardroom into a melting pot of ideas where titles are left at the floor. Let me expound on that. Trust in the workplace means giving spaces to voices, ensuring that each suggestion is met not with skepticism, but with genuine collaboration and consideration. It's the nod of encouragement from across the table, the scribbled notes taken during presentation, the thoughtful silence that fills the room as the ideas are shared. Trust is when an employee knows that their insights are a crucial piece of company's puzzle, knowing they're not only contributing to a project, but shaping the company's future. It's the thread that ties us together, the collective belief that here, in this place, everyone has something important to add. Trust is the cornerstone of our workspace in DMark Beauty and DermAsia. And we've seen it. It all happened when the time our young interns are being listened to for their ideas by their tenured counterparts. We all know how valuable their insights can be, especially when it comes to technology. In choosing inclusive leadership as my advocacy, I've come to see it as the foundation of our collective success. It's far more than just an approach to guiding a team, but a fundamental belief that underpins every decision and interaction with DMark Beauty and DermAsia. This belief in inclusivity urges us to recognize and celebrate the diversity of strengths, perspectives, and talents each individual brings. The power of inclusivity doesn't stop at the doorstep of our company. It reaches across oceans, touching lives in corners of the world and beyond our office walls, our immediate sight. This guiding principle understands that humility is made up of endless variety of strands. Each strand, whether it's from Manila to Shanghai, from the mind of a 20-something innovator or the wisdom of the 60-something age, adds strength and beauty to the whole. Inclusivity in leadership is about creating spaces where differences are not just tolerated, but are seen as a wellspring of innovation and creativity. It's about leading with a conviction that when we bring diverse minds together, we can tackle challenges every time, anywhere, more creativity. This devise solutions more effectively and create a path that is richer and more nuanced than any jungle single perspective out there. This global perspective on inclusivity is just a lofty idea. Isn't just a lofty idea. It's a practical blueprint for building a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. It's about dismantling barriers, not just within the walls of our offices, but in every community and in every industry. And every day, as I walk through our doors, I've reminded that I'm likewise on this journey of inclusivity. Still learning, still growing, and yes, still making mistakes. But that's okay. We're all in this together, building a place where each and every one of us, from the likes of Anna and Chris, can thrive. This commitment to you is more than a talk or a speech. It's the promise that inclusivity is the core of everything we are and we want to aspire to be. May we all embrace this not just in our workplace, but in every cornerstones of our lives every single day. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Nikki. We are switching up our program this afternoon a little bit, just to keep you all on your toes. And we'll be continuing now with our fireside chat, and then after that we will revert to our business session question and answer. And now, please allow me to introduce the moderator for our fireside chat with our 5 diplomat panelists. Apart from being an editor and columnist, she is also an accomplished producer and program host. In the past, she has been a managing editor at Kiddy Magazine, a radio anchor at Radio Veritas, a lifestyle and entertainment section contributor at the Manila Bulletin, and a host of Channel S at GMA Network. She is the Manila Times lifestyle and entertainment section editor, Sunday Times Magazine editor, lookbook editor, and the T-Zone columnist. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my friend and soul sister, Tessa Mauricio-Arriola. And now, let us welcome our diplomat panelists in alphabetical order. Our first Fire Chat panelist is from the Embassy of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland in the Philippines. Let's welcome Ambassador Laurie Beaufils. Our second fireside chat panelist is from the Embassy of France to the Philippines and Micronesia. Bonjour, je vous remercie d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui et je vous souhaite du succès. Let's welcome Ambassador Marie Fontanel. Our third fire chat panelist is, and I'm very honored to say this, from the Embassy of Romania in the Republic of the Philippines. Vă mulțumesc pentru că sunteți aici cu noi astăzi și vă urez mult succes. Let's welcome Ambassador Raduta Matache. It is an honor for me to share the stage with Ambassador Matache, because we are not only from the same country, but from the same region of the same country. Our fourth fireside chat panelist is from the Embassy of Singapore in the Republic of the Philippines. 下午好，感谢您今天加入我们，祝你成功。Let's welcome Ambassador Constance C. And our fifth and final fireside chat panelist is from the Embassy of Sweden to the Republic of the Philippines. Please welcome Annika Thunberg. Ambassador Annika served as ambassador to Mexico between 2016 and 2021, and from 2013 to 2016 she served as director of the Department of Non-Proliferation, Disarmament and Export Control at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Stockholm. Ambassador Constance was Director General of the Southeast Asia Second Directorate, Ministry of Foreign Affairs from March 2017 to 2023. Prior to this, Ms. C was the Deputy Trade Representative and Minister Counselor in the Singapore Trade Office in Taipei from February 2014 to January 17. A career diplomat, Ambassador Raduta has 30 years of experience in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Romania. She was posted in Washington, D.C. from 1996 to 2000 and London from 2004 to 2008, and she was Ambassador of Romania to Sweden from 2009 to 2015. Ambassador Marie previously held a post to the Council in Europe in Strasbourg, which promotes democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, where she engaged in various policy discussions aimed at promoting the advancement of gender equality. And Ambassador Laurie was the Deputy Director of the Middle East and North Africa of the Department of International Development from 2019 to 2021, and the Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria from 2017 to 2019. Tessa, you might begin the fireside
Thank you
chat.
very much, Janina, and thank you for such an impressive way of introducing our very, very impressive guests, multilingual at that. So a round of applause, please, for Janina. Ladies and the few special gentlemen, our distinguished guests, welcome to the Manila Times Women's Circle Forum Fireside Chat. This afternoon, we are honored to be joined by an esteemed and empowered all-female roster of ambassadors to the Philippines, women of influence, leaders in diplomacy, and champions of all genders. As our gathering continues under the theme, Inspiring Inclusivity, Our Collective Responsibility, let us all embark on a journey of dialogue and discovery, from Paris to Manila, Bucharest to London, Stockholm to Singapore. Our esteemed panelists unite in their commitment to fostering a world where diversity thrives, equality reigns, and every voice is valued. So let us dive into this fireside chat with vigor and enthusiasm, knowing that our collective efforts today can and will propel us toward a brighter and more inclusive future. Well, let us get on with it, ladies. It is truly my honor to be in front of all of you today with all your achievements and everything you've been doing for a better world. But in order to let our audience know a little bit about you, I'll ask the first question to all of you, if that's all right. As trailblazers in your respective diplomatic careers, breaking barriers as women leaders in positions historically dominated by males, what unique challenges did you face on your path to becoming ambassadors, and how did you demonstrate that women can lead and champion inclusivity along the way? So how do we start? Shall we start with Ambassador Thornburg? Please? Yes?
Yes, now you hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. Well, actually, I believe I was born in the 1960s, and the women's movement in Europe, as you know, was very strong in the 1960s. So many of us who grew up in the 1970s actually reaped the benefits of a more the generations ahead of us that actually moved issues along. So in terms of legislation, women empowerment, economic empowerment, also sexual and reproductive health issues. And so I would say that, and I'm happy to talk more about those issues later, but when I started at the Foreign Ministry in 1997, I was a little bit older than most, since I had a career before that as well. But at that time, almost all the people in management position, directors or other ambassadors, were men. But in my generation, we were actually more women than men who entered the Foreign Service. And of course, it had to do with that we had been given the opportunities that our mothers and grandmothers and other generations had helped us get. So it means that I don't think that there were many barriers actually in my generation, because since the development and change came with us. We were promoted automatically because we were actually either more women than men, or we were 50-50. So that is our story in Sweden.
And
Thank
maybe
you.
later you could talk about your personal heroes as well. I mean, these women who, paved the way for your generation to be able to, break the glass ceiling and just keep on going in whatever it is that you've set your eyes on and, of course, your hopes on. If we could ask the same question of Ambassador Laure, were there any challenges on your way to becoming ambassador?
Yes, and I suspect there have been challenges for most everyone, but to your question specifically on discrimination, I remember one of my postings in particular where I had the bad fortune of being both a woman and young, and I was called sweetheart and darling by some men, and that's tough, right? And when that happens, you have to make a split-second decision. How am I going to deal with this? Either you go with it because the person you're speaking to is one of authority and power, or you challenge. More often than not, we don't challenge when we are younger and less senior because we don't have the power. So, those are decisions that I think most women in the room have had to make at one point, and we are no exceptions. To the second part of your question, what did we do with it? I honestly think the answer is you just get on with it, right? So I'm pretty sure that all of us in this room, men and women alike, have had setbacks. And I, for one, have had moments where I just wanted to hide under the duvet, Things are not... But you get on with it. I remember when I was a kid, I saw a book. I never actually read it, but the cover really spoke to me. It was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I think, that's probably my advice to younger women now. I don't think any woman that, has got to our positions has had it easy, one way or the other. Even if Annika says there hasn't necessarily been discrimination, there have been setbacks, I'm sure. No? Interesting, okay. But I fear, I sense that most people, to get to a place of success, will have good days and bad days, and you just have to get on with it, I would say. And I think one of the penultimate speakers, Rose, I think, was saying, surround yourself with people who value you, who believe in you, who encourage you, because then they're the ones who are going to make you believe in yourself. And to come back to the point that you were making, Annika, I do think we're very lucky to live in a generation where women are more supportive of each other than in the past. And to have a group of girlfriends is brilliant. And I would encourage everyone to invest in that.
Yes, and that we are able to speak freely about it, in forums like this is just wonderful. So, in other words, you kind of have to choose your battles sometimes. There are times when, you kind of have to just let it go and get on with the job just so you can do what you've there to do. We'll talk more about that later, and very interesting topics already that we're coming up with. And of course, Ambassador Marie, if you could tell us a little bit about the challenges that came your way.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, when I go back in past, the first time I imagined becoming a civil servant, basically, the gender issue didn't come first, because that's probably the same in your country. You have first to be good students and to pass a very difficult exam. And I mean, no problem with the girls succeeding in exams in general. Even girls sometimes perform even better. So I was like, okay, I will go for it and become a civil servant and so. And then after, I realized that first of all, we were still minority in numbers. I faced the same as Laure was explaining about those comments on how beautiful you look and how young you look, etc., etc. And so a competence that I did not think was useful is obviously humor, and to know how to take distance and sometimes a little bit of irony on the situation, that helps. And then to try, and then I understood that it would be a hard journey. But at the same time, I for sure belong to a generation where it's still easier than maybe for women before me. And I also benefited, I have to say, from nowadays policies actually in my country where women are really encouraged to become first positions. And for example, my ministry is taking into account the question of what will the husband or the spouse be doing when you become an ambassador. And I think, for women to be able to envisage with serenity to have high positions, at some point we have to take into account what happens for the spouse, what happens for the family, because one of the big issues is to combine both lives. And I have to say I'm fortunate because so far I've seen the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in France being much more and more open to taking into account the private life in a way, and to promote women in high positions. We really do have to take into account the private life and what's going on with the spouse or the family. And one of the main challenge really for me as ambassador or in my previous capacities in other positions is always the combination between professional and personal life, and how to be ambassador and having 3 kids and having also activities apart from my job.
I think that's the same for all of us. It's always like a juggling act, obviously. And to also marry a very strong woman, I think requires marrying a very strong gentleman as well. To be able, to, cope with all of the achievements maybe and celebrate with her for all that she does. So, Madame Raduta, I'm very, very excited to hear from you, having spent many years, obviously, in the diplomatic scene and experienced many things in many, many countries. How has your experience been reaching the top of being ambassador?
So, Tessa, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Manila Times. I've already learned a lot in listening to the previous panelists, to my colleagues and friends, and I'm excited to be here today. The simple answer to Tessa's question is whatever challenges I faced and overcome, I'm happy that I did, because now I am in the Philippines. There's no better position than being an ambassador in the Philippines. Well, secondly, if I may say, each of you, none of you has had a breezy life. We each, as women, as girls, we each face challenges. If you take a moment and look at yourself and remember everything you've been through, just be convinced that any one of us has had to face the same issues. It's universal. I'm not sure if I'll be happy to be quoted, but I think it's no secret for any of us that we live in a patriarchal society. Yes, our mothers, our predecessors have made great strides. They started the fight for the emancipation of women, but it is a continuous fight, and we as women have to take this battle every day. Of course, in a clever way, not with arms or weapons, but with respect, with intelligence, with everything we have best that we have to give to the world. So I'm grateful for the challenges because they made me stronger and they brought me to where I am today at a stage of contentment and, of course, enthusiasm for being in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Raduta. And of course, Ambassador Constance, of course, everybody's mainly from the Western Europe. I mean, in Asia, we know that many parts are still quite male-centered. If you could tell us your experience being very young as well and reaching the top as ambassador, what have the challenges been?
Thank you, Tessa. Also, I would like to thank Manila Times for inviting us. I love this atmosphere, this vibe in the room. I can feel the kind of support for each other, and I like the colorful costumes that we're seeing also. And I am so happy to be here to be speaking about this, because I think platforms like this is really important for us to understand the journeys that we've all been through. For me, I would say that coming from Singapore, I almost take it for granted, gender equality and women's rights. We've had that right from the beginning when we became an independent country. So structurally, I would say we don't face any barriers in the Foreign Service. You get promoted the same way on a meritocratic system. But along the way, you do need to make many personal decisions, and those are sometimes the hardest. And whether you can find a partner who's willing to be traveling with you, every 3 years you're out of the country, and then 3 years back into the country as well. Is there someone who's willing to sacrifice his career for you every 3 years or so? And then dealing with mom guilt. I have 2 children, and sometimes I just do not spend enough time with them. I leave early in the morning, sometimes earlier than them. I come back late at night, I don't see them enough. So there's a lot of that as well. And occasionally the imposter syndrome as well. You wonder whether you're really cut out for the job. But then you know what? At the end of the day, I tell myself, I just have to show up. Is this what I really want to do? If it is, I just show up. Day after day, year after year. If this is what I believe in doing, that's how I'm going to do it. Whether it's difficult or not, I think you make the decision. So I always feel it's a conversation that you have with yourself if this is truly what you want to do. But I am also very grateful for the women before us who have blazed the trail, who have overcome many of the more difficult challenges that has made it easier for the rest of us. And we stand on the shoulders of those women. And as a contemporary person now, what we can do best would be to see how we can enable the next generation.
Yes. I'm sure that you also have, women staff members working for you, and I'm sure that they do have the same issues like us, like mom guilt and all that. Do they come to you? And if they do come to you, specifically about mom guilt, I'm sure a lot of ladies here would like to delve into that. What advice do you have for them?
Hello. So I think for women, we are very fortunate in that I think there's an instinctive need to mentor each other and to share our experiences. So it has been wonderful. I do have many women on my staff, and we talk very openly about it, and we try to be understanding and to help each other. Sometimes personal circumstances, very unique. There's nothing very much that you can help, but just to be around, just to support each other, pick up the slack sometimes. And I guess just finding little ways to make the work environment more conducive, more facilitative.
And so obviously I think we also have to underline that girls' nights out are very important to be able to do your job well at the home and in the office. But again, Ambassador Annika, you've been very fortunate, as you said, in reaching this position and throughout your diplomatic career. In that sense, may I ask you what your leadership style is? Some of us, I think we kind of have to toughen ourselves up and be the boss kind of image when we head a group. But in saying that you haven't had much of that challenge, what kind of leadership style have you brought to the different offices that you've had?
Thank you. I can answer that briefly, but then I really would like to talk about the role of men, because also hearing what Constance and my colleagues have said, but just to say that I think that for me, what I've always heard is that people really like that I'm inspiring and that they like to work for me because I make things happen. I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm not afraid of being out there. So this is what I've heard through. I've been a manager for 18 years. So, but anyway, to go back to the issue of, I think actually, I talked about the women paving the way for the more fortunate situation that I and my generation of women were in. But I think the real game changer when it came to the foreign ministry, for example, and also other parts of society, but especially in government, was the focus on men. And actually, that started to come sort of in the late 80s, 90s. We started to see it. So it was already there when I started at the foreign ministry. Basically, the focus on men in the family, that men needed to be at home with their children. We have equal parental leave in Sweden and had for a long time. And actually, if I look at my colleagues, male colleagues in the foreign ministry, I don't know anyone who hasn't taken 6 months off with each of their children to be at home while their wives have been working. So, and I say that this is the game changer. This was the game changer, because things like, I think you still have a bit of this, mother's guilt and so on, because this goes back generation that women had that role, but much, much less in a society where actually fathers have the same and equal relationship and equal responsibility for the children as the mothers have. So, children have a father. He's equally important as the mother. So again, I think that you can create an equal and inclusive society if men take as much responsibility in the house as women do, because that opens the way for women to be equal with men in the workplace.
Ambassador Laura, of course, like I said to Ambassador Constance earlier, we always look to the West, maybe into Europe, as a head of a lot of issues. I think we'd like to think you're more progressive in various global issues. But in saying this, could you give us an idea of the extent to which England society values diversity and equitability among women and the spectrum of gender identities now? And given that, is there still more work that needs to be done in your country, do you think?
Thank you, Tessa. I think there's still more work that needs to be done in my country, in every country. And I think this is why these fora are always useful, because we must never take for granted what progress we have made or assume that progress is linear and that what progress has been made can be banked. And I think this is why it's also important to involve younger generations in these conversations, because perhaps at times younger girls think that, tick mark, job done, but that's not always the case. And in many organizations across the world, including my own, we still see gender pay gaps. So women are basically paid less for the same jobs, and that's possibly because we don't negotiate as well, or we don't sell ourselves as well, or we don't think we're worth the same. So that's just one part of your answer. But yes, we value diversity hugely. In my embassy, in the Foreign Office in the UK, you have a corridor where you have those few jobs now, there are only very few, where you've never had women ambassadors. And you've got a mirror in front under the post, I can't even remember which countries have never had women ambassadors, but let's just say, Saudi Arabia for the sake of argument. You've got a mirror and you look at yourself and you say, yes, that can be me. And that's quite nice. But right now we have women ambassadors in Russia, China, USA, France, Germany, Sweden, not Romania, Singapore, loads of really, really important countries, and I think that's a demonstration of how much we care about these issues. But indeed, it's not just about gender. It's not, black and white, male, women. I think we need to think about other forms of diversity and how they intersect, including single mothers, including the overlap between gender identity and racial identity, sexual orientation, etc. And what we find when we look at even socioeconomic groups is that women from lower socioeconomic groups do less well than their peers, their male peers, and obviously less well than women from higher socioeconomic groups. So it's really important to have data at our fingertips to interrogate it, and then to have initiatives that address specific challenges. So data, evidence-based policy making, I think is at the heart of what we're trying to do, certainly in the Foreign Office. And to come back to our roles, I think our institutions must put in place strong policies. I'm really glad, for example, that right now the Foreign Office has just put in place a policy on the menopause. I put that word out there because that's a word that's like a bad word that we've never been able to use. But I think it's important to recognize that as a challenge in the workplace that all women are going to go through. So that's 50% of the population. So I think that's important to have those conversations. But I also think we do have roles as leaders, whether we be male or men or women, to lead by example. So to the point about children. Making sure that we take time to go and join parent-teacher conferences, for example. Little things like that. They send such strong signals because if the boss can do it, everyone else can do it. Yes. Leaving work on time so that when we want, we're there for dinner with our kids. Making sure we take our family holidays and that they are not overtaken by other work events. Little things like that, they really, really matter. So I do think we have a role to play in leading by example as well.
It's true. So, and also thank you for underlining that inclusivity is really such a wide-reaching topic, not just about women and gender, but as you said, so many others. If you can, just off the top of your head, tell us, like maybe perhaps one project that you have headed while here as ambassador that has, sort of underlined inclusivity as an important part for the communities that you've been helping.
Well, this is maybe not the answer that you're looking for, but we ran an event last year for the Day of the Girl Child, which from memory is the 12th of October, which was to be an ambassador for a day. So to try to give a young girl the opportunity to just do my job for a day and use my social media for a day. Nice. There are little things like that, just to say to young girls, you can be that person and to show the world that they can.
As you said, inspiring. Inspiring is also an important leadership skill that you have to have in showing things by example. Ambassador Marie, earlier on, you were talking about, you were the first one who raised the subject on husbands. And I suppose in that sense, you don't mind talking a little bit about how, things are at the home for you and how the dynamics are, whether your husband calls you Her Excellency at home or not. But if you don't mind giving us just a little bit of idea into that and what you're what you're talking about and how you've gone through all the challenges maybe that your job may have brought to the home.
Thank you. As I told you, humor and sense of humor is really important. So, of course, he's calling me Excellency sometimes, but then I immediately know that I shouldn't answer. Anyway, the more important question behind your question is that, indeed, when two spouses want to both have a professional life, it means that we have to organize the family time and family life as a team, precisely. And sometimes in our history, it's been his turn. Now it's my turn, and then we kind of share the moment. But of course, I wouldn't like to maybe give the impression that it's an easy life. It's always a question of decisions at some point, personal decisions. And as Constance was saying, I mean, you have to find a partner that is okay to sacrifice a bit of the life or to be okay to move every 3 years when you're a diplomat. So, but at some point it's a question of choice. And a choice, I would say. So now I'm lucky. I have been lucky in the past. I really do hope that it will be the same in the future.
So it's also give and take, right? You're saying that if you're both professionals, you kind of give the other a time to sort of shine in whatever he's doing, and then take a seat back when it's his turn, and then it'll be, the next time around it's yours. So so it's all marriage. Marriage also lessons in marriage in general, give and take with our partners. Ambassador, Raduta. I did so well before. I don't know why I've mispronounced, but it seems like you're really, you've spent your life sort of challenging perhaps the norm. I've read from your bio that you actually studied at the Electronics and Telecommunications school. Am I correct? In Budapest and in Bucharest, sorry. And that sounds like a very male sort of dominated area course, you know, telecommunications and electronics. If you could tell us a little bit about why you decided to get into that, and you know, how has that made you sort of believe that women can do anything that they set their minds to at from a young age?
Sure. Thank you so much. I didn't expect to speak about this, but it's no secret. Yes, not only I studied electronics, I graduated and I was an engineer in electronics for 3 years. You know, Romania is a country that has a very high proportion of women in STEM. I don't know why this is, but this is how it is. From a very early age, we are taught that mathematics is important, physics is important. You need to study it, it's a pleasure. Also, I'm old enough to have been a student during the communist regime. And during the communist regime, you didn't want to be a diplomat, because diplomats were party soldier, you had to service the ideology more than the country. So being an engineer, studying STEM was a very safe career to take. And then while we had a revolution, Romania became a democracy, and I said, why don't I do something for my country, something concrete, visible, quantifiable. I wasn't married at that time, so I had the luxury of studying at another university, and that's how I became a diplomat.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You know, I'm sure there's really so much more we'd like to ask you, but so I do promise everybody that we will get these ladies to hopefully sit down with the Sunday Times Magazine so we could actually get your stories of inspiration and share them with more people in more detail. And you know, I was also reading from your biography, from your bio here, and you know, you've been obviously as ambassador, I mean, and a diplomat, you go and see, you know, all these different countries and their cultures and everything. Do you always see a difference between our Asian culture, especially in the West or maybe other continents, when it comes to inequality? Are there models that you sort of look to, and has there been anything that you've actually brought back to Singapore, and maybe an idea or a practice that you've also brought with you wherever you are assigned?
Well, I think that gender equality is a universal value, and it's only to the extent that it's being practiced in different places, right? And I've been very fortunate. I've had postings in Washington, D.C., in Taipei, and now in Manila. And in these three places, I feel that women are held in high regard, have high stature in society. They have equal opportunity, whether to education, to healthcare. They are able to fulfill their aspirations to the fullest and freely as well. And I appreciate that, especially here in Manila. What strikes me most is that women are so empowered here. You are celebrated for being strong, for being beautiful, for loving your family, and for daring to do what you want to do. But as in every country, I think even while we have achievements, there are also pockets where we have to do better. And in Singapore, we realized that, as I mentioned earlier, right from the beginning, Singapore has operated on the basis of meritocracy. So we're very fortunate in that sense. Maybe only 1% of children do not get to finish 10 years of schooling. You know, so we have like 99-point-something% of universal education. Women are encouraged to pursue whatever they want. We are seen as equals in partnership with our male counterparts. But there's still a gender pay gap. There are not enough women on the boards of the top 100 listed companies, for instance. And in many cases, like in STEM careers, maybe slightly over 50% are females. So there are still many areas that we will have to improve on, and that is an ongoing conversation. A couple of years ago, Singapore came out with a white paper on women's development, Singaporean women's development. And this reflects a shared vision where we want a fairer, more inclusive society, and there are action plans for different areas of our life. And I'll touch on workplace. We want a fairer, more progressive workplace, so we're putting in place, enshrining the fair principles of recruitment, employment, putting in place grievance handling procedures, how to protect people who come out to report abusers, how to have more mentoring opportunities as well, and also just basically being more supportive in terms of flexible working arrangements, which we feel structurally has helped women re-enter the workforce where they were not able to, or for them to take on more career options than previously open to them. So I'm glad the conversation in Singapore has changed. Maybe about 10, 15 years ago, you hear a lot of people saying, lean in, it's a can-do attitude, that as long as you work hard enough, you're going to thrive, you're going to do very well. But I think the conversation has moved away from not just individual responsibility, but structural changes must be in place. There must be policy support as well. So governments around the world are trying to see what more they can do to support women. It's to address many assumptions, whether we have traditional roles as childbearers and homemakers. And so how does the government support you in that? So in Singapore, we have infant care, child care that's more affordable, more accessible, so women can quite confidently return to work. Yeah. So I think we need to continue doing that, and it's a whole of country, whole of nation effort.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, so like our theme says, it is a collective effort. It isn't just like my fight or your fight, but it is a collective effort. Since Ambassador Constance has already said that it's in the workplace that she wants to make more of a difference when it comes to inclusivity, if I would give you, Excellencies, a magic wand, just so we could see where your focus is. What issue within inclusivity would you like to address now and change? So maybe just the last question, Ambassador Annika, if you'd like to begin.
You're thinking
specific
in the workplace in particular,
yes,
or
in any
others
within inclusivity.
I would perhaps say that the inclusivity again is to also ensure that men can work in professions that are traditionally seen as female and dominated by women. And social secretaries, nurses, being teachers in preschool and so on. So this is also an inclusivity issue, and also men who actually would like to stay at home with their children for a while. I mean, we have the legislation, but also that it is actually seen as completely natural and normal in a culture. So again, I think that while we are focusing on women's economic empowerment, we know that women don't yet in a lot of places, and that includes Sweden in many cases, I would say. We don't have equal pay always in different sectors. That is being discussed, and also that there are also issues related to where you are on the socioeconomic scale. There is a difference also if you can afford certain issues or whether you cannot. So the socioeconomic aspect here, we know if you're privileged as a woman, you have an easier time than if you're unprivileged as a woman. So to always think about the socioeconomic aspects as well. So yes, there are
So it goes both ways. And when we talk about equality, we also have to consider that perspective, that the men, we should also be fair to them and also give them the opportunities that we might have that they don't. Thank you for pointing that out to us, because we always like to think in these fora that this is the women's circle and it's really just all about women, but that is really truly a fair point to raise, ma'am. Ambassador Laure, if there is one issue within inclusivity that you would like to address immediately, what would that be?
I'm going to cheat a little bit, as I tend to do. I think what's really important is to be data-driven. So what might work somewhere might not work somewhere else. One of my postings was in Jordan, and we found that actually one of the key constraints for women at work was safe transport to get to work. So the intervention in Jordan may be getting safe transport for women. Elsewhere, I completely agree with Constance, the importance of having childcare. If childcare is incredibly expensive, de facto what we're going to see is less women in the workplace. So often having creches, etc., at the workplace is incredibly effective an intervention. Flexible working, again, data shows it's very, very flexible in some places. This is not for everyone, and it's generally an issue that people debate. But I do think there's a place for quotas. Quotas are supposed to be short-term measures to address structural inequality. So short-term to make up for those structural inequalities. And I do think there's a case for quotas on boards or in senior positions. I don't think there's anywhere, any organization, whether it be public, private, or otherwise, that should have all male boards. I have less problem with the all women, but yeah. So different interventions, and let's look at what the evidence says on what works in different circumstances.
So yeah, that makes perfect sense. The data first, and then find out from there where the problems are, and then approach those problems and find solutions to them. Again, Ms. Ambassador Marie, for you.
Same question, and I will have to say I refuse to answer the question of is there just one measure that is a priority, because in my view this is such a systemic issue that we have to tackle all challenges at once, and that's why precisely the French Foreign Ministry decided to have and to embrace an official feminist foreign policy, feminist diplomacy, in order to put the question of gender equality very high and systematically on the agenda, be it on the external approach. I mean, that's why we are doing advocacies all over the world, gender equality, but also sexual and reproductive rights. So it's on the agenda of our diplomacy. And it's also the way for the ministry to ensure that on an internal ministry point of view, the ministry really tries to be exemplary. And so I'm sorry to say, or I fail in answering your question, because I think it's even dangerous to pick and choose.
All right.
Because it's a systemic question.
But Ambassador, if there is one immediate maybe issue about women inequality that's lingering, that you might want to address. I mean, obviously it's true what you say, that it's like a whole picture out there. But if there's one for you, what would it be?
Well, I'm sorry, but I will say again, I don't believe in magic wands, and I would really continue what Marie said. A society that we all want to build in all our countries is a society that is equitable, that offers equality of opportunities to women, to men, to boys, to girls, to non-binary identities, to people in all their diversity.
Yes.
And nowadays, as far as I can perceive it, the situation is far from offering us equality. So what we need, I believe, is societal change. And societal change cannot be done with one measure or two. It has to be continuous, it takes generations, and it has to be driven by each one of us. Each one of us have to do something in order to change the society. Maybe not for people like me, but for our daughters and granddaughters. It's a whole project. We need to push it all.
Yes,
Thank you.
Of course. And finally, Ambassador Constance, just to add to that, perhaps, what you've said already about the workplace and then what the others have said.
I share what my colleagues have said. I don't believe in magic wand, and I believe it's a very deep-seated issue. But if we could go back to first principles, I would say that if every one of us can honor and respect each other, that's going to resolve many, many issues in the world. And that we honor and respect women, not just because of their gender, but because they're another human being, and that's a right and moral thing to do. So if we can do that, I think we'll erase many of the prejudices and biases. But as human beings, being very complicated, very complex, even as you overcome one bias, you're going to face another bias, I think, as it comes along. Mm-hmm. So I think if we go back to treating each other in a very decent way, that's going to help very much. And if you are in a position to do so, you know, pay it forward and enable another woman or another man, as Raduta pointed out, and that we can all coexist, co-partner each other very well in that way.
Yes. So respect is very important. And I think, yes, it really all starts with that, respecting one another and accepting each other for who they are is the best place to start. We did have so many very interesting perspectives that were given to us by our wonderful ambassadors here today. And I'm sure that, you know, I think this probably demands a part 2, Blanca. Maybe we don't need to wait for Women's Month again so that we can gather all these ladies so that we can discuss maybe, you know, 2 or 3 topics and really, really get into them. We collected these questions from our editorial team, and they ranged, you know, in many different directions. And I thank you for trying to answer all of them today for us. Thank you.
Can I just be cheeky and add one last thing, because I think we've discussed this amongst each other. We're often referred to as lady ambassadors, and having spoken about this amongst ourselves, we don't really like that.
You're just ambassadors,
we're just
right?
ambassadors,
yes,
right?
That's
you
true.
Don't refer to
I know.
ambassadors that are men as
It's
the male
true.
ambassadors.
I know.
But we're or madam ambassadors. So it's a little, you know, language matters, and
That's
so little things like that make a big difference in terms of how we are seen and portrayed. We're
exactly
just ambassadors.
I know, right? We start small. We start with the little things, and then it'll grow, and then, you know, maybe we will get there someday. So our wonderful ambassadors here with us today, thank you very much for joining us at the Manila Times Women's Circle Forum. Thank you. Happy Women's Month to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador Love, Ambassador Marie, Ambassador Raduta, Ambassador Constance, and Ambassador Annika. And now, once again, for our second question and answer segment, we call on stage DTI Undersecretary Kim, and we would also like to welcome back on stage Bosch-Ong and Nikki Tang. Joining Kim, Rose, and Nikki on stage are Judith Tubil, foodpanda Philippines Director of People and Culture, and Abigail Tina Gail del Rosario, Maybank Philippines President and CEO. With more than 20 years of extensive experience, Judith manages and drives foodpanda's culture, people development and engagement, talent acquisition, performance management, reward strategy, and change management. During her tenure, foodpanda has been certified as a great place to work for 3 consecutive years. Recognized by HR Asia Awards as one of the best companies to work for in Asia, and ranked 17th for People's Top Graduate Employer. Meanwhile, Aside from being Maybank's first female president and CEO, Gail is also its country director for Philippine operations. With more than 20 years of extensive retail banking experience, she has held leadership positions in Standard Chartered Bank, East West Banking Corporation, and BankNet. Kim, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Janina. Okay, so hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. It's the afternoon. Are we all still feeling okay? Did we have our coffee at this time? I hope we did. So, because it promises, okay, this next session also promises to be just as exciting. All right, so let's move on. Maybe we should start. Of course, you were introduced, Judith and Abigail, earlier by Janina, but you're not able to speak. So maybe I would like to ask for an opening statement, just a little bit about, what's your take on what had been happening here about, women, since it's International Women's Month, and what's your take and how you position your company to be more inclusive. So should we start this way or that way? Because you're on both ends.
Okay,
so
maybe I can start.
Okay, so go ahead, Abigail.
Yeah, okay. I suppose we still have a lot of women in the room.
Yes.
And everyone seemed to be, I know it's a very long day. Okay, how I wish I can serve you cocktails. But unfortunately, I'm not the sponsor.
Yes.
Okay. Basically, if you look at it, we take it seriously when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion. And in fact, there's another letter. It is not just DEI. It is actually DEIB. It's belonging. So that's how we would coin it this time. And if you look at Maybank itself, it is required, in fact, that I'm talking of globally. We are actually represented in 18 countries. Our head office is in Malaysia. We're around 46,000 employees. So the bank's objective is to ensure that more than 30% of the leadership roles are female. And a testament to that is that for the Philippines, we have 51% in the senior management roles. So out of, actually, if you look at the management committee of Maybank, let's put it this way. Banking is actually very male-oriented industry, let's face it. There are 43 commercial and universal banks. Believe it or not, there are only 4 Filipina or female CEOs out of the 43. So that's how it works. In Bankers Association of the Philippines, I'm the only woman. And all the rest are all men. But it doesn't mean that, I cannot go up there and say, hey, women power, right? So for Maybank alone, if you look at it, treasurer job in a bank is a man, always. But in Maybank, it's a woman. Global banking as well is a woman. So if you look at it, most of the functions we have in the bank, unfortunately, I hope this is at live stream, because the male in the bank right now will say, hey, Gail is only talking about the women. It's not intentional, guys, but let's put it this way. I still believe that women would always have the capability.
Okay, well said. And now let's also give a chance for the opening statement for foodpanda. Judith, take it away.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hi. Yeah, I'm glad, some people have approached me that they're using foodpanda. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone has a foodpanda app. Okay, raise hands who have foodpanda app. Well, thank you so very much. For the rest, download foodpanda app.
So free delivery.
Yeah.
Discounts.
Of course we do have. Yeah, so listening from the speakers and looking at the audience, I could sense that women are truly empowered, right? And we hope that we'll continue to empower women. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so thank you very much, Judith. Actually, when you talk about empowerment, you know, this person it has been a long time friend of mine, and so I've seen, you know, she's the embodiment of when you say an empowered woman. So my question to you, Ong, who is also a woman, a female in a male-dominated industry. So when you talk about Wilcon, when you talk about all of these construction materials, and all of those things, you obviously are normally referring to a man, and it's a man's job. But at the helm is a woman. So, she gave us her presentation earlier. So among the other things that I saw and I heard from you is that you promote inclusivity. So the question again, maybe this time, Rose, is how can others promote inclusivity in their own workplaces when they are not part of the top leaders in their own organizations? Rose?
Okay, yeah, you talk about, let's talk about Wilcon, di ba? Kasi it's male-dominated, it's hardline, di ba? When you talk about construction, it's hardline. The founder is a man, you know, William Bello. But the success of Wilcon is, you know, is because driven by women, no? The success is the woman beside, behind, and even in front of him, no? So, and when you talk about construction, home improvement, it's about, you know, hard, di ba? Pero the reason why probably Wilcon is, you know, the place to go now, I mean, it's becoming relevant, no, compared to previously, wherein when you talk about hardware, it's topsy-turvy. Kasi when women leads, di ba, you put sexiness into construction, di ba? I know Nikki is sexy because of the product that she sells. It's about beauty. But when you talk about Wilcon, parang there's this soft touch, di ba? Because naging sexy ang Wilcon. Because it's led by a woman, no? So how would you, I mean, like my personal experience, when I got into Wilcon, we only have 2 branches that time. It was very tough because, you know, it's male-dominated. I think I'm the only female, I would say, entry-level, no? Entry-level at that time. The rest are all male. The boss, the utility, the salespeople, no? So I guess it's really about, you know, stepping up, knowing what you want in life. You know, you just have to set your sights on your goal, whether you're a man or a woman. However, syempre as women, I've said in my speech na we always have to take an extra mile for us to, you know, to stand out, to be noticed, no? And regardless of gender, what's important is that you have to be goal-oriented. You have to do things that would really, you know, interest you. I mean, you're passionate about, like whatever work, whatever field you have. God has provided us with, you know, each of us we're given talents. No? Each of us would have talents, whether you're in construction, you're in soft lines, or whatever, no, you do. So just focus on what's important and, you know, set your goal. And the rest, do your best in everything that you do.
Okay, so that was a perfect answer. I see a lot of women smiling. And also would like to encourage participation of from the audience. If you feel like you wanted to ask a question for you know, each of our guests here, please do so. So this time for Nikki, I was also listening to her presentation earlier, and she said that every contribution is valued. So in other words, for DMark, I suppose, the company values you. It doesn't matter what your designation is. And I think that's been one of your successes, right? So I think the main question here will be, how can other companies also promote that kind of strategy, that kind of thinking, and ingrain it or put it into their everyday work? Nikki?
Thank you for Thank you for the question. To begin with, DMark Beauty and DermAsia is a family business. So my parents are the president and vice president, and I'm the CEO. Nonetheless, I wanted to emphasize that building a business, I really started it from day one man team, which is myself. I've already been exposed to an environment of a family culture. So in our kind of business, and we're very entrepreneurial, we are not really so much of titles, to be very honest. My employees have been with us on the average for 18 years, and they've always kept 18, 20, and more years, 30 years, and they've always kept the same title. We did not really work on, because they're promoted on a different name, but it's more of the kind of challenge and responsibilities that they're given, and that's how they feel important, valued, and empowered. To the question, what I really want to share in my journey as a leader is the importance of connectivity, being connected to your employees, and communication, because every day there will always be different challenges in a business, but being a leader, it's very important to be agile, and being agile means you should be able to also make sure that what your plan, your vision, your strategies are likewise aligned and in sync with the team. Now, when they feel they belong, as mentioned earlier, that makes them feel inclusive. And I think it's a small step, but it goes a long way. That is a very impactful feeling to the culture of the work environment and each individual.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. So we have another question here, and it's all about leveraging technology. So I think when you talk about it, maybe for foodpanda, for example, you are an app. You obviously when you talk about leveraging technology, then you are the personification of what it is all about, right? So the question is, in what new ways have you been able to utilize technology, data science, and education for furthering your advocacy? And in particular, in this case, I see a lot of, when the delivery persons for foodpanda, they're not all males, aren't they? Okay, so tell us about it, Judith.
Yeah, first of all, let me say that the head of our data science is a woman. Okay, the head of business growth is also a woman, and yours truly, the one who's driving organizational change, culture, DNI, is also a woman, right? So these critical positions are being driven by women and are critical to business and are critical to our customers, like all of you, right? And we based our decisions based on data, right? We would like to ensure that we are able to provide choices, the prices are affordable, all right? And to ensure also that we are able to provide you with best customer experience, right? And another technology that we have just launched is we provide a learning app, right? Where everyone, regardless of gender, regardless of positions, have access to thousands and thousands of learning opportunities. We promote self-paced learning, right? So we allow them to learn on their own, right? Wherever they are, they have access to a super powerful learning app. I won't mention the name, right? But it's super powerful. It's a globally, recognized learning app, and everyone has access to that.
Okay, thank you, Judith. So, let me go to you then. So, Abigail, you talk about financial inclusivity. We were just talking about, how it is here in the Philippines. And when you look at the gender stereotypes, we look at also the unbanked and the banked, and we see that even if we have majority as of MSMEs that are women, a whole lot, a much larger margin remains to be those that are in the unbanked. So my question to you probably is that, how will you address that kind of challenge that you are seeing now here in the Philippines? And how would you be able to leverage that to promote more financial inclusivity, especially for women?
Okay. For Maybank, actually, under the Maybank Foundation, we have the RISE program. It is actually rich, independence, sustainable entrepreneurship. Nobody knows it because I think we're so quiet about it. In fact, it has been running since 2015. So what we do, we educate women, marginalized women, and also PWDs. So if I'm not mistaken, we have around 7,000 of them already. And we started also in 2022 where we included their families. You'll be surprised that you'll see a woman who is basically, it's either they're partially blind or in fact they cannot walk and they don't have nothing, it's zero. So what we do, they go on a series of modules, and that modules is to teach them how to have a sustainable income. And you'll be surprised by the time they finish the course, we also do a check afterwards. So we do a post, and then you will see from a zero income, you'll be surprised they're making now 80,000 a month. And the stories, if you'll hear it, it's basically, how will I put it? It's like, for me, as a banker and all of us, I mean, we're lucky to be doing very well. And you see these people, and these are actually not in Metro Manila. We're talking of down south, provinces or regions that we don't even go to. So we have a partner for that, and we work it together with the branches. And what we have also done is that we came out with a rice savings account, because not all of them, of course, can just open an account. So we also help them to ensure that they start banking as well. That is just the rice program. We also have the cash bill. The cash bill is actually a literacy program, financial literacy program for 9 to 12 years old. And so far, how many schools we've done? It's around 111 schools, both private and public, which is actually, we do it on a yearly basis. What is good is, believe it or not, they compete in countries. Whoever wins, we bring them like in Cambodia, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So it's for them to compete with the other kids. So those are the two programs. And then eventually, hopefully, we're working on the Eco Weavers. This is something I want to start in the Philippines. We have the people from Marawi, if you're aware of it, like what they're wearing right now.
Yes.
Basically, we're losing the weavers right now because they stopped doing it. So we have it in Cambodia, and we have it in Vietnam, and I'm bringing it into the Philippines. We need a partner for that, if you know anyone, so we can kick it off, because we cannot do it alone. So we need people who would know about eco weavers and everyone else. That's it.
Okay, so that's a clarion call from Maybank. So I suppose when you talk about partners, you know, Manila Times is also here. We're always your partner naman. So maybe, yeah, exactly. So Blanca is saying there. No,
and
she's,
Boots can help us out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also have a question from the audience. Of course, we would prefer that you would actually come to the microphones and say it, but I have one here. It says advocacies. Okay, the question is on advocacies. What advocacies or programs do you do in your company to provide support for fellow women? So maybe we could start with you, since it's been this way. So Rose, go ahead, and then Nikki, then Judith, and then finally Abigail again. Go ahead, Rose.
Yeah, actually, our company has a foundation, and I'm the president of the Wilcon Foundation. But the focus of the foundation is really more on education. So we provide scholarship. Actually, it's not underprivileged, no, but those that are employees of Wilcon, I mean, if they have kids who wants to go to college, no, so we provide scholarship to them. And at the same time, we have a technical school. It's not focused on women, but basically focused more on, you know, the technical school is for them to provide them with, you know, education. At the same time, the avenue for them after they graduate, they would, you know, go to some companies that will hire them, no? Like especially during the pandemic, we really, you know, we really lack a lot of talents, no, skillful, and because it's either they went home to the provinces So they were like, displays, no? So yeah, we're pushing for that. And at the same time, we're doing a lot of advocacies, like focusing more on the environment, no? Because our company is really one of the contributors. I mean, retail, if you talk about retail, we're one of the contributors to the carbon footprint, no? So we advocate really sustainable, initiatives like promoting sustainable choice campaigns for the products that we sell, no? So we focus more on products that are helpful to the environment, that will lessen the carbon footprint, no? And operationally also, our company is focused on reducing our carbon footprint by installing solar panels in almost all the stores. I guess 65% of the stores we have solar panels, no? So we build on renewable energy, and at the same time also, the operational practices, like we use electric, forklifts and all of this, no? So not just on the practices, but on creating awareness as well, no? So we're focused on education, we're focused on sustainable campaigns, and aside from that also, we're very responsive to, let's say, philanthropic acts, like, during calamities, we're there, no, to support. And at the same time, aside from the company where, that gives me my source of living, no, I'm also very much involved in different advocacies in different organizations. Like, I'm part of I'm one of the founding directors of PropTech Philippines, and also a member, previously the board of director of the Philippine Contractors Association, and of course, retail, PRA, and Women Biz Philippines, no. So basically, we try to cover different aspects in life, no. Like Women Biz, we're helping a lot of women, not just women in business, but basically also the underprivileged women, like yung weaving, di ba? That's one of our projects, and you're part of it, no?
Okay, so yes, I am very much aware of that, and we thank you. We thank you for that. There's also RCEP, right?
Us a lot.
Yes. Okay, so Nikki, would you like to answer that question also?
Yes, in my case, since I'm in the business of beauty and looking good, it's not just about looking good, but also feeling good inside. And this time, we really advocate strongly the importance of beauty and diversity, beauty inclusivity, inclusive beauty. So it's all about authenticity. We have collaborated with doctors, and throughout the years, for more than 20 years, we really provide not only aesthetic solutions, but products that really will provide skincare needs and help people feel good, because it takes a lot of self-esteem, low self-esteem, if you have a lot of acne, if you feel you're not, the body shape is not correctly. So, well, we want to support and remind people that it's not all about physical, but in the real world, when you go out and face people and look for job and opportunities, what's the first impression that really leave when you interact with others is how you look and how you carry yourself. So it's not just about looking good, but you feel good because you know that you are well looked. And on the personal note, I also support a lot of different foundations and causes, and one of them is the Philippine Cancer Society. So with that, going back to what I do, what our business is doing, we also advocate the importance of skin cancer. So we have products that would really help, although it's not rampant in Asian region because we have darker skin. Nonetheless, it is still important to understand the importance of skin health. So with that, we also participate in a lot of outreach programs on the medical level, and continually communicating and campaigning. To Rosemary's point, since our brands are also globally renowned, so we also engage with B Corp. For people in the room who are not aware of B Corp is actually the highest level of organization that really measures the recyclable, renewable ingredients and packaging. So right now, if you come across also in some media and write-ups, there are sun care products right now that are very particular in some beaches in the country and in the world that you cannot use sun care when you dive in the water because it really affects the marine life. So these are the few things on the scientific level, on the business level that we do our advocacies.
Okay, that's very good to know. So for Food Panda Philippines in particular, do you have an advocacy that's geared towards women?
Yeah, definitely. I love that question. No, but let me say that the DNI is at the very core of our culture, and it's embedded in the process of people and culture. No, from talent acquisition to development to retention. Now, we have set up this certain metrics, no, for us to see that we are continuously improving, such as the gender pay equity across levels. Across levels. We made sure that the salaries of women and men, do not have that much gaps, and we measured that every year, no? Yeah, every year. Yeah. And then we also, we call it gender pay equity. Yes. Yeah, and also women in leadership, right? So I follow and we implement, globally, regionally, locally, certain metrics. Years ago, we were at 20%, then we improved to 30, 40, 50%, right? And recently, not recently, but 3 years ago, in our desire to promote DNI and equality, we improved certain benefits such as fertility leave, marriage leave, wellness leave, mental health leave, maternity leave, expanded maternity leave.
But what is the ratio of your employees of men and women versus women?
Almost close.
That's very good to know.
Very close. Super, very close. Yes.
Okay, so we'd also, again, like to reiterate, if you have any questions, from the audience, so feel free. Otherwise, okay, it looks like the last word is with you, Abigail, for in terms of advocacy, although you mentioned already quite a number of them.
The one I mentioned earlier is more of for the community, right? But we also have advocacies for the company. We have actually M-Youth. It's basically our youth club wherein we develop talents. If you look at Maybank right now, majority are ready, which I'm happy, they're between 30 to 35 years old. So those are the age, and we're trying to attract as much as possible the Gen Z. It's not easy to get the Gen Z. That's why we came up with the M-Youth Club, and that one is being run as well amongst the Asian countries, not only the Philippines. In fact, there is a competition every year. For last year, the one who won the competition on all the ideas when it comes to the Gen Z was actually Philippines. So we managed to beat that of Singapore and Malaysia and the rest. And then we also have the Future Ready. This is actually for people wherein they want to upskill. So there's also a program for that. If you want to change, not to change your where you are right now, not your employment, but to change in terms of your task. If you want to change your role, we have that. And the upcoming, which I'm really excited about, is the student PWD, wherein we'll be sponsoring students who are disabled. This is for the young in the universities. They go through a program and they'll be hired by the bank. So it is something that I've done in the past, wherein, believe it or not, when we hired they were blind, we did it for customer service. And it was very successful. And we want to do it now for Maybank. In fact, bulag lahat yun, ang laki ng customer service, the bank where I came from. Pero ang nag-excel, yung mga bulag. It's really like, they excelled. Even the cross-selling, they managed to sell more than the one who are the normal one. So it's, it's something that for us in Maybank that we want to do for this year. Actually, we will do it definitely this year.
Okay, so thank you for that. That's very inspiring and awesome to hear. And at the same time, I suppose at this point when you look at it, the collective takeaway from today's forum is that, you empower yourself as a woman and then you get the chance to empower others. Because if you don't empower yourself, how can you also empower others, right? So I think that's a major takeaway. We'd like to hear the final word, short and sweet. So for all four of them, go ahead, Judith. Short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to, thank you for inviting us here, but thank you for this event. Women are naturally empowered. Okay, so let's continue to support each other and let's continue to empower each other. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. For me, thank you for having me here. I just like to share, encapsulate in one word. Empowerment, inclusivity is all about opportunities, and opportunity is all about improving oneself and enriching the lives of others.
Okay, I think I said it all in my presentation earlier, but you know, what resonates really is that as women, I mean, we all have our, you know, limitations, but what's important is that whatever challenge, you know, we face, it's for self-improvement. And at the same time, whatever challenge we face, no, we tend to, you know, improve, at the same time inspire others, no. So I guess let's create an environment wherein everybody feels that, you know, they belong.
Yes.
Can I take your word from that? And then of course, inclusivity is about us, ourselves, no. And I guess yung kanina kinote ko yung sarili ko, the best man for the job is really a woman.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't know if Click will object to that, you know, but yes, go ahead, May.
Thanks, Click, and thanks, Blanca. Be proud as a woman. You'll be happy forever.
Oh, there you go. And then...
I have one last...
Oh, okay.
There's this song, diba? I'm sure everybody can relate. Who rules the world? Girls. Diba?
Yes. Okay, so, to end on a final quote, I would leave you with this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear as women is that we are powerful beyond measure. So, women, for a happy International Women's Month, that concludes our Q&A for this batch. Let's give them an applause.
We are grateful to all of you for joining the conversation in the Women's Circle Forum. Thank you.